starting out.
I know, I couldn't. We
All right,
did it.
we're on.
Supervisor.
Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, and we are here for a regular scheduled town board meeting and a CDA meeting. As always, we will begin with the pledge. Jody, can you please take the lead?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And in keeping with our tradition of
Thank you, Jody.
In keeping with our tradition of having a faith-based invocation, we have with us today Kathy Berezny, the chaplain of the Riverhead Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary. Thank you, Kathy, for being here.
Welcome, Kathy.
Kathy, if you can hear us, if you could unmute and make yourself visible, that would be helpful.
Okay, she's on.
Okay? It's just a slight delay. Now she's muted again, looks like.
I guess I can't, I don't know how, oh,
Okay.
I got it, I
Okay,
got
Left
it.
hand. There you go.
Right.
And-
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
How you doing? Good.
Most gracious God, as our town leaders gather today to discuss the needs and concerns of our town of Riverhead, we ask your presence and blessings during this time of the national pandemic that has affected us all, whether contracting the virus or knowing loved ones who have, to be separated from those who are most dear, yet seem so far away, due to the restrictions for everyone's safety. Lord, help us to be strong and continue your work in our daily lives. Be ever present in the decisions that are made for the health, the safety, and betterment of the town of Riverhead. Giving blessings to the new members of this council that they will have deep respect and concern for our town. We ask your everlasting presence and guidance for Riverhead, now and into the future. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Kathy. Very nice, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Before we get started, we have a few announcements. First, I'm conducting today's meeting remotely, utilizing our enhanced Zoom platform. Thank you, Chip, and the entire IT staff, along with our board members who last week showed up for a test run in case we have to run our meetings remotely. It was a success, and today we are now performing our meeting, one board member remotely. This brings us to our next announcement. As most of you know, while we remain under state of emergency due to COVID-19, all public participation in town meetings and public hearings will be accomplished through Zoom only. Accordingly, the public may watch and to participate in today's meetings, events by logging on to the Riverhead Town website, and also the website will have credentials for yourself, for you to log in. Lastly, and unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has created numerous challenges for our town, but the health and safety of all our residents has always been our top priority. Unfortunately, the BIDMA had to cancel the Halloween coffin races and other traditional holiday events scheduled for Halloween. But there are several other planned family events scheduled, such as the annual Halloween lamppost display and trunk or treating at Stotsky Park. These activities will allow our residents to participate but stay within the New York State guidelines for crowd limitations. Please visit downtownriverhead.org or riverheadrecreation.net for additional information. Okay, so moving on. Can I have a first and a second to close this board meeting and commence our community development meeting?
So moved. Second.
So moved. Diane, can you please
Yes.
take a vote, call the vote?
Certainly. Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The town board meeting is closed and the CDA meeting is now open.
Thank you. Okay, can we have Dawn Thomas, our CDA director, come forward, please, so she can hold her meeting?
Good afternoon, everyone. Dawn
Good afternoon.
Community Development Agency Director. We have no resolutions, as you know, on the agenda, so we need to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 15th. So I need a motion and a second for that.
I move we accept the minutes.
Second?
Okay, Bayrat,
Yes?
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
The minutes of the September 15th, 2028 meeting are approved, and we can open it up to general comments from the public if there are any.
Supervisor, it appears we don't have anybody yet in the meeting room looking to comment on CDA resolutions or any other
Okay.
matter. Chip,
yeah, we didn't have any,
Correct.
but general commenting, anyone
Right.
want to comment?
appears we do not have anybody in the meeting room looking to make general comment. Just waiting to
Okay.
confirm that, right?
Then
Yeah.
moving forward,
Okay.
Diane, do we have any communications or reports?
We just have to close the CDA before we move to that.
I move to close the CDA meeting?
Second?
Bayrat,
Yes?
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
The CDA meeting is closed. Thank you very much.
okay, thank you, Diane. Moving forward, we will now begin the public hearing, portion, well, we have to open it. Can I let's,
Can, Yvette?
opened up the meeting, and we're gonna go into a public, hearing.
Supervisor, I think we just have to just go back 1 second. I think we have to just have Diane read off the communication and any reports before we move up to the public hearing, if that's okay. All right?
Okay,
Okay.
so have her go forward.
Oh, we're not back into the town board meeting yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, so that's why I'm trying to open it back up, and
You
then
have
go into.
comments and letters for the CDA?
No.
Okay, so we need to open
We
the town
closed
board
it.
meeting first to get your reports.
Okay, we thought we did that, but maybe.
No.
You closed it and reopened it, I thought.
No, we
Okay,
closed
so
it.
Just close
we're
it?
good.
Okay.
So moving forward, Diane, do you have any, list of communications or any, report figures for us?
First, reopen the town
Yeah,
board
we have to
meeting,
open the
please.
town board meeting.
Okay, so we're going to reopen the town board meeting? Do we have?
Yes,
Okay,
Make a motion.
so
yeah,
Jody,
make a motion and a vote.
okay, did someone second?
Second,
Okay, Bayrat,
Yes?
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
The town board meeting is now reopened.
great,
And,
thank you, now we're on track.
Okay, okay. That's all right, just took a little while. I'll just go into reports first, actually, I'm a little off here. Police Department sent in their September monthly report, and the tax receiver sent in their September utility collection report, and that was $981,210.01. Under correspondence, I'm probably gonna get this name wrong, I apologize. Michael Tesario sent a letter commenting on the impact of the pandemic on merchants and businesses in town. And I also got a late submission from Sharon Dunnigan, and this was in regard to the public hearing on Nextera. Obviously, I can't read the whole thing, but it was sent around to the town board members. And I believe that is all I have.
And Diane,
Mhm,
Madam
yes.
Supervisor, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a statement about the town clerk.
Oh,
Yes,
So, Diane, I want to thank you because
Okay.
Saturday I got a panic phone call from Hotel Indigo at 3:30 in the afternoon saying that the pastor that was supposed to perform a 4 o'clock wedding went into New York City instead of coming here, and they did not have an officiator for the wedding. So, in calling around to several officiators, including Kimberly Percorny and Jim Wooten and yourself, you answered the phone, and at 3:40 were trying to assemble yourself to get to that 4 o'clock wedding. It wasn't until I got a phone call a couple minutes later from former Councilman Jim Wooten saying that he could officiate the wedding, that I could call you back and say that you didn't have to go. So I want to I really want to thank you for being there on a Saturday afternoon for one of our local businesses and being prepared to go in for the rescue, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are in public office that don't answer the call, or, you know, don't wanna be bothered on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and you answered the call, and the business appreciates that, and so do I, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
And it's not the first time she's
Thank you,
done this
Jody,
either.
for those comments. As
Thank
we know, Diane is a gem.
Oh,
She is
thank
a
you.
great asset to this, to the Riverhead. She has been for many years, and I hope she continues to do so,
Oh.
and thank you for pointing that
And
out.
thank you all very, very much, and I'm just glad the bride was no longer in tears.
I can't let this guy go by without chiming in. Diane does a great job all round,
Oh,
runs a
thank
great
you.
office, and she is a great public servant.
Thank you very, very much. I'm touched.
Okay, thank you, Diane. And moving forward, we will now begin the public portion meeting, public portion of this meeting. Today's hearing was scheduled at 2:15. It is now, we're only 2 minutes late, 2:17, and we are opening the public hearing to consider special use permit on Long Island Solar Generation LLC, also known as Nextera, to undertake construction and development of a 22.9 megawatt solar energy production system upon two parcels that are zoned Industrial C, which properties are located at 149 Edwards Avenue in Calverton and 2714 River Road, Calverton, New York, and more particularly described as Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-137-1-2.1 and 600-136-1-2. Bob Kasovich and Greg Berman and our planning department, can you please come forward and identify the public hearing and the purpose and describe the project?
All right, thank you, Madam Supervisor. Greg Bergman with the Riverhead Planning Department. As she did state, the town board is in receipt of a special permit application seeking to construct a 22.9 megawatt commercial solar energy production facility, including underground transmission lines, electrical transformers, fencing, landscaping, road, grading, and drainage improvements on two parcels located within the Industrial C zoning use district. Pursuant to Town Code 301-281C, solar farms will be permitted within the Industrial C zoning district by special permit of the town board. Just to give the board a very quick snapshot of the application process to date, this application was initially submitted to the planning department in September of 2018. It was deemed incomplete shortly after. The applicant made some resubmissions in early 2019. This board has taken resolutions, the actions they've taken. Resolution number 19-425 dated May 22nd of 2019. The town board initiated a type 1 secret coordination with involved agencies. By town board resolution number 20-108 dated February 4th, 2020. The town board assumed lead agency and issued a negative declaration for the proposed special permit and site plan application. And by resolution 20-529 dated October 6th, 2020, the board did schedule this public hearing, which brings us to this point to open the floor for public comment on the proposed special permit application, unless the board has any questions for me.
So, I do. Actually, this is probably a better question for Bob Kazakevich, but seeing as the recreation trail for the Grumman facility is right next to this property, I'm just curious as to if there is any connectivity for recreational uses and purposes on the 25% of the land that could not be, that solar could not go on, as to whether or not we can get an easement or if we can get a dedication to have that 25% area to make a contiguous trail for all of the future solar projects that are coming into town, that they would be required to do the same thing as Solar One did as far as replacing the fence along the boundary and create a nice buffer. Instead of doing that, creating a nice buffer and replacing the fence, they're going to install their own fence anyway, but to establish a paved trail to connect to the existing trails.
That was actually something that was raised in the letter that came from Ms.
Mhm.
Dunnigan today.
Yep.
So it's something I think we can take up with the applicant. They haven't, I don't know if they've seen the letter and have had any chance to even become aware of it, so we'll have to forward it to them.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and it also adds to the community benefit besides the community benefit fund.
Correct.
Speaking of the community benefits, Madam Supervisor, where are we at with that? What, have we come to terms with an agreement yet, or
We're still negotiating,
still negotiating?
still negotiating the numbers.
I've said in the past that Edwards Avenue is paved in gold, and I'm not sure, I think we only got silver from the first round, so.
Well, that's an interesting question, because I know that that was also brought up in Ms. Dunnigan's letter, questioning why the town of East Hampton was achieving such a large amount for their easement and why Riverhead was not. One, I think the land prices in Wayne-Scott are just a little bit higher than those in
Understood.
Riverhead, for one, just a little. Not much, we're comparable.
Not
but I-
much?
Not
much.
29
You're
times
talking
as
5
much.
million for an acre of land versus 100,000
Just
for a
looked up
vacant
one
lot
property
here.
that was
Okay,
vacant,
so-
20 million on the
Okay,
water.
but for the record,
Yeah, I'm just being a little facetious.
Yeah.
The other thing that you also must do when you compare them is you gotta compare apples to apples or make a comparable comparison. From what I know from reading the wind application that's on the South Fork, they're looking to obtain an easement for 2.5 miles. 2.5 miles, if it's a typical utility easement that's about 10 feet wide, that is almost 3 acres of land. In our instance, and I'm not sure because we haven't seen the final document in this regard, but if going by the Riverhead Solar 1 application, that involved an easement across and under Edwards Avenue that measured 700 and something square feet. So again, we have to do a fair comparison and an analysis that brings out those points. I've also been asked as to the procedure and why we're going forward with a special permit hearing prior to the site plan. That is fairly straightforward, and I'll address that just now because that was a question that was posed. Under our code, the use is one that's allowed by a special permit, and until such time as this is adjudicated or answered by the town board, the applicant doesn't even have a right to go forward to a site plan process, because the use has to be established. They don't have the use as of right. It is a unique creature in that it's a special permit. Special permit uses are presumed to be uses that are approvable by the town board, subject to the criteria that's spelled out in the state code, as well as in our code. So that's the reason why we have to do the special permit hearing first before it goes to a site plan process. And that has been the case, I think, always with any special permit use, that you hear the special permit first, then it goes to site plan.
Well, and I'm gonna say that I did call and ask you that, Bob, prior to the meeting, just questioning about the timeline of everything. It seems as though, you know, in the big picture, if we're putting a lot of one use in one area in our town and a use that isn't allowed in other towns, then there should be a real benefit to our community.
but it is allowed in other towns.
There's not zoning in a lot of the surrounding towns by us, not of, solars of this size. So I feel as though it's really important that there's a benefit to our community, and I think that's something that the residents have raised many times, and I think they will again. So just to, be clear with everyone, we do not have the final site plan approval.
Correct.
And we don't have the WSRR permit.
Correct, and site plan approval would not be obtained until they produce a wild scenic recreational rivers permit. But again, you know, the special permit is the key into the door, so to speak. So, I mean, we really can't even entertain a site plan approval until the town board either, you know, acts on the special permit one way or the other.
And I think it would be good that the, you know, that the public should have an opportunity to read the comments. The public will be able to see the comments that come from the WSRR, correct?
I mean, we did receive correspondence, and I believe they have been, we did receive correspondence from the New York State DEC. The comments pertaining to the WSRR permit did not seem to be very significant. I mean, that's really when we are handling site plans anywhere within a WSRR, those are looked at as a matter of compliance, and if they get the permit, they get the permit. You know, without a WSRR permit, they're not gonna get site plan approval. So anything that's contingent upon that, they'll need to produce that prior to site plan approval.
And Greg, this is why we're having this hearing today. It's a public hearing for the public to write, to call, to email, and to come forward before the entire town board and the community to discuss this. So the opportunity is being provided here right now.
So I do think those comments, even though you're saying they're inconsequential, I do think it would be good for those comments to be posted so that the public has an opportunity to see those. Those would be something
If they have not, I will ensure that they are.
I don't
Yeah,
think that
Greg,
they're
did you get that through, Greg, did you get that through,
You said they weren't.
excuse me, Catherine, can I just finish one second? Greg, did you get that mail through, did it go through the clerk's office?
I believe it came to the, I'd have to double check the file. I mean, I do
Most
know.
of our mail comes through the clerk's office and it's time stamped, and it's also available. So it's not like people are just writing directly and we're acting. Anything that comes as far as the communication, the clerk is our keeper of our records, and it does go through them. So Catherine, you might want to check with the clerk's office, because she does a pretty good job of most communications that come in. And Greg, if for some reason it went directly to you and it missed the clerk's office, can you make sure that it gets filed, please?
Absolutely.
But
Thank you
this
so
is-
much.
But this is, like, this special hearing and the special permit to allow for solar in the industrial C zoning is for what the town board would like to see. And the New York State DEC Wild Scenic Recreational Rivers permit, if I'm not mistaken, will outline everything that they have to do that's in observance of the Wild Scenic Recreational River laws and zoning ordinance. So
Correct.
they have to abide by all of that, just as they had to do on the Cromer Avenue propane facility, just as they had to do on 84 lumber being reestablished, just as they had to do. So those conditions are pretty strict and forthcoming when it comes to the DEC as to what the requirements and setbacks and things of that nature would be. I mean, on Cromer Avenue, they had to revegetate the wetlands, if I'm not mistaken. So it's the Wild Scenic Recreational Rivers and the New York State DEC comes down pretty hard on those properties that are situated within the Wild Scenic Recreational Rivers as to where disturbance or activity could occur.
Correct.
So, but back to my point that I was making, I do think the public, as a matter of transparency, and I think the supervisor agreed with it, I think that the public should have an opportunity to see those, see any of those, the comments from the DEC or the comments from the WSRR. But, you know, just in the big picture, and I do want to hear from the community, and I may make some more comments after, but in the big picture, just in anything that we do in Riverhead, I think it's really important that there are benefits to our community and that we negotiate well for ourselves and make sure that we are getting, you know, this is a large project, and make sure that we are getting what is due to us in the town of Riverhead, and make sure that there are benefits to our residents for this.
Of course, I think we all want that.
Yes, and I agree, that's the purpose of this meeting and why we're here, to cohesively decide how we're gonna move forward as a board. We are, entrusted, to make these type of decisions. Our public has put us here, and the public will always be involved. So, I agree with your words, and I think the whole board agrees with that, Catherine.
What is the status of the moratorium that we tabled?
We put it off for 2 months, and it will be coming back in November. And again, there's some misunderstanding, Tim, and I don't know how, and I know that our town attorney has addressed this. It is just something to stop, and we don't even have to do it for a year. We can do it for 6 months. All right, just take a look. Let's look at it. We have the master plan being created. We make sure that we, you know, look at the future of solar. However, there were 2 projects in what I call the pipeline. These are people who paid applications, who we accepted accepted the cost of the applications. And we have to be mindful legally, we cannot exclude, we can't take an application and decide to change the rules and say, well, too bad, and these people go and they start getting a site plan, they do SEQA, which costs $150,000. We have to be responsible because, and it's happened quite often, and the building department can attest to this, that you change directions on an applicant and you change the code midway, when they're in progress, in process of moving a project forward, then we're gonna be liable, and we have to be responsible to the taxpayers and not create all these lawsuits that may happen. Yeah, they're always gonna happen, and people can claim what they claim, but when we make that action, we take that action and we're negligent, and our town attorney is negligent, and we have somebody spent $400,000, took their funds, the money for the application, and 2 months later say, we're doing a moratorium, and you know what? We're taking you out. Too bad, bye-bye. That doesn't work. And so that's one of our responsibilities.
The point
Our
is-
fiduciary responsibilities. So, back to your question, Jim, it's coming back. We held it for 2 months. The projects that were, already submitted, and this is across the board. Every town does this. I mean, I've spoken to people, other attorneys, and everybody understands that if there is a project that has somewhat of a substantial, investment and progress, that we can't just ad hoc say, too bad, goodbye. We can't send them packing. And that's not gonna happen under this administration. And I think that, some of us know, I know that there's been a question, in the past, remove them from the moratorium, don't exclude them, and, to exclude them, and we have a legal responsibility to our residents, ensuring that when we create legislation, that we don't move the legislation back into a civil level.
The moratorium never, ever affected the ones that are in the pipeline already, so what you said is a moot point. The moratorium is to consider ones that are coming in after January 1st, 2020.
Perfect.
And
Yes,
so that's how it should be, that's how it is, and I would like to see us get going on that as soon as
And
we
if I
can.
could just say something.
And I agree
So-
with you, Tim, and I've been trying to explain this out, and unfortunately, I don't feel like everybody's on the same page as we are.
If I can just
And
say
you're
something.
100%.
You know what, we had a public hearing, and I think that we got the most comments and letters on that public hearing. So has anybody formed a committee to meet with the stakeholders? Tim, you seem to be like wanting to push the moratorium forward. We heard from the Farm Bureau, we heard from environmental groups, we heard from civic associations, we heard from all these people. Has anybody put together a committee to meet to figure out whether or not this moratorium is in the best interest of the town? Because we heard both sides, people that were for the moratorium, people that were against the moratorium, people that were threatened by development and traffic in the 11933 area code, zip code. So has anybody thought of putting together a committee and meeting with all the stakeholders and saying, let's do this? Or do we just wanna adopt it?
That's the purpose of the moratorium, so we can pump the brakes and we can sit down and talk and figure this out.
Yeah,
You
but-
form that committee after you put a moratorium up, otherwise you're gonna have more solar coming in the meantime.
The people were against the moratorium, for the most part. So I think that I would wanna meet with those people first.
Why don't we hear from the people?
That's what we need to do. That's
Yeah.
the purpose of the moratorium is to pump the brakes, to let us get our fielders out and find out exactly what we need to do, what we want, what we don't want, how it's gonna tie into the master plan. There are many people for solar, there are many people against it. And that's why we need to sit down and rethink this and put a moratorium on it to slow it down, and then we can move on past that once we figure things out.
Greg, do
And-
we have
and
any
bu- bu-
applications in right now for other solar projects?
No, the last one we received here is Nextera, the Riverhead Solar 2, which is under review by the Article 10 process, that's going through the state. But since Nextera has been submitted, we have not received any additional applications.
And does anybody know if there's a RFQ out for additional solar projects on Long Island from PSE&G or from LIPA? Are there any RFQs where they're even entertaining other solar arrays in this magnitude on Long Island?
I can't answer that question. I mean, maybe that would be a question for the, I know we have the applicants, they're gonna be joining us. I mean, I think they might be able to answer some of those questions.
Catherine just answered no.
Well,
as
and
the
I've been,
energy-
well, I've been asking both of these questions, and, so I've been told no so far.
Okay.
So, and just, because it was brought up that there were a lot of comments from the community about the solar, I don't think this resolution should be just brought up again. I think it should be, this should be discussed at a work session. And, also, as Frank
Discuss-
said, we may wanna have more opportunity for the community to weigh in again. We need to look at all the points, which you brought up also, look at all the points that have been brought up by the community, and take another look at this, discuss it at a work session.
And we have the master plan update too. So I think that there's a tremendous amount of worlds colliding. And Catherine, I thank you for being on the Energy Advisory Committee and the Environmental Committee, because you've probably discussed it, and there's probably a lot of people in your committee that are torn as to whether or not a solar moratorium should happen or shouldn't happen. But I think that knowing that in the past, the RFQ processes for PSE&G and for LIPA, you have to qualify. And it takes some time to qualify. It could take 3 to 6 months to qualify. So I don't know that I think getting the input from the people now as the master plan is being put together.
Well, then if what you said, if it takes 3 to 6 months, it wouldn't be harm to have a moratorium. It wouldn't affect that.
And you can have 2 projects in the works during that
But
time.
we don't have any pending.
Not now, because we don't have a moratorium.
Well, we don't have
Of
pending
course.
projects, and the 2 pending projects, which, you know, I'm told differently, that, you know, until they have a shovel in the ground, we do have 2 pending projects that actually aren't in the moratorium.
Do you realize what it takes to have a shovel in the ground? It takes architects, it takes, site plans, it takes a secret review that can cost upwards of $150,000. And we're gonna accept an application and let someone, a developer, move forward and then go, okay, this is what the public said and therefore this is what's gonna happen. I don't think that don't think that's gonna work. So something that we have to consider and have a further conversation on.
Right, and my point is, this was a pretty hot topic with our community, this is very important to our community. So I do think this should be discussed, we should be discussing this further at a work session, and then we should, you know, there should be more opportunity for our public to weigh in on this.
And having experience with moratoriums and being a pro-property rights person, I know that if you get flooded with a bunch of applications for solar projects, you can put a moratorium in place the next day. We've already had the public hearing, and it would not affect any court cases or anything to that effect. Trust me, I know.
Okay.
So, that's why moratoriums get formed. Jefferson, maybe you can get up and talk about that a little bit, that when town of Southampton got flooded with a bunch of applications in an area and the town put a moratorium in place almost immediately. And it was a 2.5-year moratorium. Jefferson,
What was that for, Jody?
it was
Jeff,
for
can you
East
come up?
Quogue.
Oh, for that big development over there?
It was for several developments, for solar projects that were taking up a lot of land, that came in all at once. And the applications were filed, and the town of Southampton put a moratorium in place based on the applications coming in.
The area which Councilman Giglio was referring to was the East Quogue area.
Jeff, are you at the mic, cause I can't hear you well?
I am at the microphone, my mask is
Oh,
off,
okay.
and I'm speaking
I
directly into
hear
the
you now.
microphone.
Thank you.
You gotta be louder, I guess.
How's this?
This is a good test.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You sound like Barry White.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, yeah.
I love Barry White, he's one of my favorites.
What's the name of the song?
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff, please.
I cannot sing. Trust me, you do not want me to sing. The area that which Councilwoman Giglio was referring to has to do with the East Quogue area in the town of Southampton, and it was a very, very large area, to which there is now a very large controversial project pending before the town, and it's been approved by the town. And there was a moratorium, and it was initially, I believe, for 6 months to a year moratorium, and it was subsequently added on another 6 months, another 6 months. There was a large part of the property, of the area was in the Central Pine Barrens Commission area. There was concern there was going to be a plethora of subdivision applications pending in that area. It's a very rural, wooded area. There were a number of very large projects being proposed. Charles Barlotto, there was a couple of golf course proposals being considered. And the East Quogue community wanted a moratorium with the understanding that they would consider upzoning. And a lot of the property was zoned 2 acres and 3 acres. And at the conclusion of that, a large portion of that area was rezoned to 5 acre zoning.
But the moratorium was put in place after the applications were made.
Correct.
Yeah, soon thereafter, not when they did, after they did secra and had site plans in, either.
Well, no
So, yes.
one's even filed an application, so,
I know,
once they
but-
file an application, it takes 3 to 6 months to get to the
Mhm.
secra determination.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
if you were flooded with applications for solar projects, cause you said you don't have a problem with these two, we have to have them, because,
Sure?
okay, so if we got applications in and it's 3 to 6 months to review to get to a secret determination, within that 3 to 6 months, if, with the planning director calling you saying, hey, we're getting bombarded with new solar applications, then the town board could put a moratorium in place within 2 weeks.
That's being reactive, I'd rather be proactive.
Okay, Greg, I have more comments, but you don't get to finish?
I mean, I think, you know, seem to be having a conversation regarding the moratorium. I mean, this is a public hearing on a specific special permit application. I think it would be appropriate to open it up for the public, as that, you know, the conversations regarding the moratorium should happen at a work session. But I think this hearing right now is for the purpose of receiving public input.
And Greg, I agree with you. I saw it going in that direction. Sometimes we do get redirected with, especially issues along this nature. And, yeah, let's keep it open to the public, and we're gonna move forward with that. Devin and Chip, can you bring up the screen individually of any members of the public wishing
Yeah.
to make comments?
Just
Devin,
one-
again, remind everyone to state their name and hamlet and limit their comments to 5 minutes, please.
Yes,
Just-
so we,
Just one more comment. I know that, you know, we did get on a little bit of a tangent with the moratorium, but frankly, they're tied. The two issues are tied, and it wasn't really such a bad thing that it was brought up. And, you know, as far as this project is concerned, I wanna hear from the public. I mean, personally, I am in favor of renewable energy. I like the use of solar projects in areas as opposed to industrial because, you know, I think it is a way of preserving the land. There are some positives. My big point on this and my concern is that what are we getting out of it as a community? So, just wanted to reiterate that point. Thank you.
okay, so we have,
Okay, I'm sorry, Devin, so I think from this on, let's just keep this, you know, to the public comments, and after the public response, and then, you know, any board member can respond thereafter. So Devin, can you proceed, please?
sure, so we have a couple of representatives for the applicant in the meeting room that Chip is gonna bring up. We
Mhm.
have Stephen Lesquadro, Chris Corrado, Michael Dowling, and William Bohr. So there's just a slight delay, but they're being brought up now.
Yes, can you bring up, Steve Squadro, is he the attorney on this case?
He is, and he's,
Okay, so let's hear from the attorney, and then we're gonna move forward. Good afternoon, Steve.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor. Good afternoon, members of the board. I am the attorney representing Long Island Solar. Thank you for convening this special hearing, special permit hearing this afternoon, particularly in this manner. We appreciate that you were able to make this happen under the circumstances. What I'd like to do is introduce the team that is here with me on behalf of Long Island Solar. I know some of them you can see now, and others are in the process of initiating their video. There's Michael Dowling, who is from Nextera, and I can see Michael here on the screen. He is the project manager responsible for bringing this solar energy facility forward. There is Chris Corrado, and now I can see Chris. Chris is an environmental expert, a consultant who works with and for National Grid. There's Bill Bohr, who's an engineer, and he has brought forth the engineering that Mr. Bergman and Mr. Murphy have considered on behalf of the applicant. And also there's Prescott Harshorn, and Prescott is an executive with National Grid. I do not see Prescott on the screen, but I understand that he is there someplace. I mention all these individuals because, of course, as has been made aware to the board in the past, Long Island Solar is a joint venture of Nextera Energy and National Grid, two of the world's leading energy producers. In particular, Nextera is the world's leading producer of wind and solar energy. So really you're dealing with the preeminent company by way of Nextera in bringing forth renewable energy, not just in this country, but around the world. It has been mentioned by Mr. Kazakevich, by Mr. Bergman, that this is a project that is a 22.9 megawatt solar energy facility that seeks a special permit for 20 years with 2 5-year extensions. The project will be located on parcels that border River Road and Edwards Avenue. They are projects that are zoned Industrial C. The project clearly will bring significant environmental benefits because it will promote the use and proliferation of green energy. One of the things that I think is very important.
Steve, can I just real quick,
Yes.
can you clarify something? Because I think there's been some miscommunication along the line. When this project rose, there was some indicators that people were indicating that this was farmland.
Yes,
And can you just clarify that for the public? Because I think it's important to remove that thought, or whether it's correct or not. And I will also check with our planning board on it. But can you just address that?
Yes, Madam Supervisor, I think that is a very important point, because one of the things that I think we encountered, everybody has encountered in the course of this application over the very sustained period of time that has been before the town, is that there was a notion out there that this was farmland at issue and that therefore farmland would be lost. And that's just not the case. This is land that's zoned Industrial C. Now, I was going to get into that a little bit, but I think it's actually a good point to just address right now. This is land that's zoned Industrial C. The most common and, in fact, the expected use, and this has been testified to, because remember, the applicant has been before this board, your board, the planning board, has been to work sessions, has met with staff consistently over a long period of time. So there have been many, many meetings in furtherance of this. And it's been very consistently stated and pointed out that this is not farmland, but industrial land that would be built out in all likelihood with industrial warehouses. And what would that do as opposed to this? The industrial build out of the land would bring noise and air pollution. It would bring traffic and congestion. And all of those negative impacts would then come from the as-of-right build-out. Not to mention, of course, that with the green use that would be set forth in the solar energy facility, that would not permanently alter the landscape. Building out industrial warehouses would permanently alter the landscape. But with the solar farm, after 30 years, should one want, that comes out of the ground, and the land is as it was. Of course, in addition to all of that, because it is Industrial C land, and it would be built out as industrial warehouses, that type of use doesn't bring nearly the revenue that would be generated by the solar facility. And that, of course, is revenue that is a benefit to the town and all of its constituent districts, the school district, other districts. All would benefit from the increased revenue that this project would bring, as opposed to the as-of-right industrial build-out. So, Madam Supervisor, while I was going to get to that point, I do appreciate the opportunity to address it, because it dispels that misconception and allows us to bring out those facts now.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying it.
And thank you for that opportunity. I would, moving forward, indicate, which I think is very important, particularly recognizing the work done by town staff, that this application over a period of time has been a very collaborative effort with the town. Mr. Murphy, Mr. Bergman have been very exacting in the things that they have requested on behalf of the town, again, over a 2-year period or more. There have been many meetings, as I said, not just with staff, not just with this board, but the planning board and work sessions, all which were designed to answer any questions that the town may have. We've accommodated every single request for change or modification that has been made of us, and that's even with the project upon initial submission having complied with code fully. But I'm very pleased to say that whatever was requested has been added or modified at staff's request, and the applicant here truly has gone above and beyond in what it needed to do. For instance, Certain setbacks were requested to be moved or modified, even though they met code, and all of those things were done. Similarly, there's no tree clearing here as well. All of those things have been complied with. In addition, as I've said, one of the things I did want to mention, because in the discussions that preceded the actual start of the hearing, there was reference to a WSRR permit, and I would indicate that that has been actually issued to the applicant by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. I believe that is in the record, or certainly in materials submitted, but I will make sure following the meeting immediately that we follow up, because that permit does exist, and I think it's important to mention that. The project we submit, and I think the record reflects, has been extremely well vetted. There has been a very exceptionally rigorous review by the town and staff. It's been determined that the project will not have an adverse environmental impact, which is reflected in the negative declaration that was issued pursuant to SECRA. I repeat again, in that vein, the project will not have or involve any tree clearing. The proposed use is benign in nature. It presents no negative impacts to the community. There's no traffic, no noise, other forms of pollution are not generated, which, Madam Supervisor, is in line with what you wanted to clarify with respect to this being farmland or not, and what are the uses that otherwise could come should the project, or I should say, should the land be built out to its as-of-right zoning classification. With respect to the environmental impacts, I would like to add one other thing. The New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historical Preservation has also issued a written finding that there will not be any impact on any of the properties here, which would include any impacts on archaeological or historical resources. Again, that speaks to the type of vetting that has happened with respect to this project, how benign it is, how low impact or non-impactful the project will actually be. And of course, all the environmental benefits that will come from it, not to mention the revenue as we've discussed. There have been a series of issues that have come up over time. And the respondent, in this case, respondent being the applicant, the Long Island Solar, the applicant here, has responded very meaningfully with respect to decommissioning or the potential impacts of weather or other matters. Now, those were addressed at great length at this SECRA hearing that took place before the town. There are a whole series of issues that we have addressed, and I think the better course of action would be if the town board wishes for us, or if it comes up in the course of public comment today that there's a desire that some of those issues be revisited in whole or in part, we're absolutely prepared to do so. They were addressed previously, and they've been addressed on multiple occasions in written submissions, at the SECRA hearing, before the planning board, and at work sessions, not to mention in discussions with staff. But again, we're prepared here to revisit any of those items so there can be full clarity and just even further transparency about the things that have already been addressed. And we're pleased to answer that or any other questions that the board may have. I think at this point, what I will do is, I think that gives an ample overview. I'll defer to Mr. Dowling for a moment for him to mention any technical or other detailed aspects of the plan that he may wish, as he's the project manager and has been involved in the inception and has attended every meeting that we've ever had with the town.
Okay.
And then from that point, after Mr. Dowling speaks and any of our colleagues wish to add in, then we would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Michael?
Okay, so this is a comment section, and so we were just hearing comments at this public hearing, to go back and forth, answering questions. We have to look at the time But let's try to keep it 5 minutes because the public knows it's 5 minutes. And, we're
Madam
trying to keep
Supervisor?
the same protocol.
If I
Yes.
can interject, because there's one thing from just a procedural standpoint that we haven't touched upon. I know that we have been served with affidavits of posting and mailing, but I just wanted to have that put on the record if we could.
Sure.
So that, because that was not mentioned, we skipped right over that. And also, as speakers come forward, they will be asked to swear to the testimony. So I will be asking them to swear to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them. So just be aware of that, so that any speaker who's going to be coming forward will be asked to be sworn as set forth in our special permit procedures, that is something the town board can
Yes,
ask.
and that's SOP, and whichever member of the team wants to speak forward, can you please raise your hand so we can call on you? Raise your hand, who wants to speak forward?
Well, I
I
think
think
first
Mr.
I have to
Dow-
have Steve address the posting and publishing first, please.
Okay, Mr. Dowling, would you want to proceed? Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. So, Steve, thank you very much. That was a great summary of the project. I'm not going to take up too much time here. I'll just briefly summarize what Steve said.
Mr. Dowling, if you would raise your right hand, please.
Yes,
And do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you, Steve. I think that was a great summary of the project. I'm not going to take up too much time here. I'll just briefly describe what Steve described. But first and foremost, thank you very much for taking the time to schedule this meeting, and we really appreciate it. Allied Solar, we really went through great lengths to ensure compliance with the Town of Riverhead Solar Ordinance. So for all the items Steve said, we made sure there was no tree clearing. We reviewed previous project applications to make sure we incorporated all of the changes that the planning staff and the town board recommended in those applications in order to make sure we provided the best application to the town. We submitted our original application back in September 2018, so it has been, quite some time, and we understand there have been implications such as COVID and other items, but we really look forward to today and moving forward and answering any questions from the public that they may have.
Okay. Who do we have next? Chris, did you have any comments? Chris Corrado?
No, not at this time. Not at this time, thank you.
Oh, okay, and Mr. Hartsborn? Home? Do you have any comments? No? No? You need to unmute your mic. On the left hand of the screen, you'll see a little mic. Mr. Prescott, great, thank you.
Yeah, good. Nothing further from me at this time.
Okay, great, thank you. And, we have a Bill Bower, I see. Mr. Bower, did you want to, make a comment concerning this public hearing? You need to mute your mic, unmute your mic, it's on the left hand of the screen. Put your
Madam
cursor-
Supervisor, if I may, Mr. Bohr, I understand will not comment at this time, but he's available to answer technical questions as they may arise.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's fine.
Okay, so if that's the balance of the comments from Mr. LaSquadro and the other members of the applicants there, Supervisor, maybe we want to remove these folks and bring up the members of the public that are going to comment?
I would like to ask a question first before we
And then after
remove them.
Tim, I have a question.
Yes, but, the board is gonna have questions on them, and I think we can keep them on panel.
Okay, so
Because they are the applicants.
okay.
So, in case the public wants to ask the applicants or part of, anyone in the team
Okay,
a
so-
question, they should be made available. So can you just bring in the participants? And then they can be removed, and we'll keep the panel.
Sure.
So it'll be the town board, myself, Mr. LaSquadro and his team, and then individually we'll bring in the participants.
Okay.
Well, I just have a couple of questions about a couple of things that Mr. LaSquadro just said, but I'm gonna let Tim, did you wanna ask a question first?
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't
I'll
know
go
if this
after
would be
you.
for Mr. Dowling or for somebody else, but one of my concerns with solar is not only, I understand every solar project has a decommissioning part to it. But my concern goes after decommissioning, what happens to the panels? What are the plans right now in 2020 for all these panels 20 and 30 years from now? What will happen to them, and what will be the outcome of having millions of panels laying around the earth, possibly contaminating the soil.
If I may, Madam Supervisor, and also to Councilman Hubbard, that's something that we are very pleased to answer. We've been able to answer that in the past and respond to staff's inquiries regarding that. And I'll let Mr. Dowling speak at this time because there is a very meaningful response that will speak to that. Michael?
Yeah,
Mr.
of course.
LaSquadro,
Thank you very
Michael,
much.
before you begin, Mr. LaSquadro, that's always been a concern of mine, and we gotta make sure that we have the right bond, and, you know, as technology moves on and things get smaller, and there's a lifespan for these panels, and I'm definitely looking forward to hear this response.
Of course. First and foremost, I think it's most important to just talk about the composition of solar panels, so everyone understands what is actually in these panels. So really, panels consist of glass, polymer, aluminum, copper, and semiconductor materials. So, you know, a lot of people don't understand this. These are materials that are readily available. They're, you know, they're everywhere. So I think that's really important that people understand. The next part is we have provided the decommissioning plan, and we plan to recycle to the greatest extent practicable all of those materials that can be. We believe there's a value to those materials, so we absolutely do not just want to go and discard of them. One, because it's not the right thing to do, but two, because there's actually an economic value to us with those panels. The next piece, you know, aside from that, is there are other opportunities we can do with panels, with reused panel. You know, they can be used for different types of activities, such as educational opportunities. We can donate some panels to research institutes to look at how panels, you know, have operated and study them. So there are multiple things we can do. But I think, again, the most pressing is what actually is in the solar panel, and then our plan is to recycle to the greatest extent practicable everything we can.
Are there environmental laws that say how you have to dispose of solar panels?
I think Chris Corrado, who's on, would probably, or Bill Bohr would actually probably be the best to answer that. Their background in environmental.
Yeah, that's fine. It's Chris Corrado here. I'm the environmental manager for National Grid here on Long Island. Currently
Corrado,
in New York State.
so I'm sorry to stop you short, just before you,
Sure.
because I don't think you were sworn in. Do you swear the testimony or response you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So currently in New York State and a number of other states in the country, they are proposing regulations that the solar panel vendors must take back used panels. In addition to that, there are a number of firms right now that do recycle panels. So there are opportunities, as Michael said, for us when the panels either end of life or decommissioning to use them. And I think within the next 6 months, a year, 18 months, with the proliferation of rooftop solar and other types of solar applications, you'll see actual regulatory requirements, as I said, in New York State, that people selling panels will have to take them back and recycle them properly.
Is there cadmium in solar panels? We keep hearing the word cadmium come up. Is that not?
So there are solar panels, especially older ones that had a cadmium-based design. The ones we use are not cadmium-based. There is no cadmium in them.
Thank you.
It was at one time, correct?
There are different types of solar panels.
At one time. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's an older type of panel we're talking about.
Yes, I believe there was. So you're telling us the type of panels that you're gonna put on does not have that. Is that's
Correct.
been an issue of contention here in Riverhead? I mean, it's been brought up in lengthy conversations, and, that's good to hear. Okay, does, anyone else? Do we have anybody else? We have anyone in the, waiting room, Chris?
We do have a couple of folks in our waiting room. Chip will bring one of them up now.
I'm
So
sorry,
I just want to add 2 questions for Mr. LaSquadro. Well, just 2 clarification points. I believe you said something about 100,000 spent on an EIS, but it was neg decked. We didn't have an EIS. And, actually, the secret hearing, we didn't have a secret hearing because that takes place under an EIS. And you also mentioned that you do have the WSRR permit, so I would ask that those comments be made public. That's all. Thank you.
If I heard Councilwoman Kemp correctly,
It's hard, these masks.
it was, I think her thought was that I mentioned, about an EIS. Actually, I think looking back at the record, I didn't. What I said was that the negative declaration signifies that there is no significant adverse environmental impact. That's what a secret neg deck specifies and indicates by law. That's all I wish to set forth. And I think obviously, of course, that process speaks for itself.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that there wasn't a secret hearing because it was neg decked. Okay, thank you.
He didn't say that.
Mr. LaSquadro, I have another question. Let's go back to the DEC. I know that the DEC now is reviewing larger projects and it's, they go through the state and, when does this process start? And you're telling me you have the watershed, permit in place, the DEC already provided you and cleared the land, to, build a solar farm?
Yes, and what I'll do is, it would be very appropriate for both Mr. Bohr and Mr. Corrado to address that because they're our environmental experts, and I'll let them speak to this.
I'm sure the building department has it. Jeff, or Bergman, if you don't have a copy, I'm sure you do, but can you make sure that I get a copy? I'm very interested to know that this was cleared by the DEC.
It's gonna go up online, as Councilwoman had requested, right?
Yes, it's easier to, not to do a full search, somebody can just put in WSRR and just press forward, thanks.
Yes, I will put that up. I know I have received, I'm looking through my files, I have received a notice of complete application, correspondence pertaining to that WSRR permit, but I do not currently see the actual permit. But if they have it, they can provide that to me and that will be provided to the town board.
Great, okay, so can I hear from, is it Chris?
Yes.
Concerning the process, I'm just very curious. This is something that's relatively new. The state now are approving applications and they're going before the DEC. And, I just want you to enlighten me and I'd like to read one. Thank you.
Sure. The actual DEC process in this type of proceeding was going on at the same time as we put in the application and whatnot. Because we're in the Peconic River wild and scenic area, we had to go for a specific permit for that. You wouldn't normally find that on other projects. We also have them evaluate wetlands on the property and whether or not we need a specific wetlands permit. So the DEC does vet projects. We also went, as Steve mentioned before, at the state level, we had to go to the, folks that do agricultural and social impacts, archaeological impacts, things of that nature. So for their part of it, the state has already evaluated the process, the project, as part of their process, and have issued the required permits that what we would need.
Great, okay, thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anyone in the waiting room, Chip?
Okay, we do. So I think first we're gonna bring up, Mike Foley, please, Chip.
Okay.
He's looking to make some
Mike,
comments.
can you hear me?
There's just a slight delay. We're bringing him up now.
Sure. Hi, Mike.
Mike,
You have to unmute.
If you can
There
unmute
you go.
yourself.
You're getting pretty good at this, Mike.
We've had a lot of practice of that.
I know.
And, thank you very much and good afternoon, everybody. I want to tell you.
Mike, hold on. Mike, before you start, you have to be sworn in, please.
Sure.
Yeah, Mike, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And Mike, just to remind you, we need your name, your full name, and your hamlet, and also you'll have 5 minutes to speak, after which the board can comment if they choose to do so.
Thank you. Mike Foley, Reeves Park. I'm finding this public hearing very, very helpful, very productive. There were a lot of misconceptions months ago that I believe resulted in the town board putting this on hold. The first misconception that was cleared up, I think, by Mr. LaSquadro, was that this project was being done on farmland. So that was the first thing that was problematic. The second thing, and I have to tell you, in my mind, was the most important, was there was a gentleman on the line from Wading River that believes that cadmium and other poisonous products would degrade, go into our soil, go into our water table, and create tremendous damage. And certainly that got my attention. I read this gentleman's website. He has an awful lot of governmental websites and connections to it. A lot of it had to do with cadmium. So the fact that I think it was Jody asked, is there cadmium in your panels? You've already said that there is not. And Yvette kind of hinted on it, but I am curious to find out, are there any panels being made now that have cadmium in it, or has that just been now finished because of the poisonous nature and your ability to produce safer panels?
Madam Supervisor,
Mike,
should we
does that-
respond?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
Well, I'll pass that off to Mr. Dowling and to Mr. Corrado, also to Mr. Boer. But in response to Mr. Foley, I think the most important thing, of course, is to say first and foremost, because I can't speak with 100% certainty to what anybody else in the marketplace will do, but I think the fundamental response is, it will not be here, Mr. Foley. So that will not be a part of the composition of anything placed on this site. But with respect to your overall question as to what might be elsewhere, I'll let Mr. Dowling speak.
Thank you.
Mr. Dowling,
Mr. Foley, thank
you're already sworn in so that you can proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Foley, thank you for your question. So just to make sure, we are not proposing any type of panels that have cadmium. There are definitely still manufacturers that do manufacture panels that have cadmium in them. And there are certain areas that are utilizing those panels. But for this, we do not plan on using any panels that have cadmium.
Thank you. Mike, are you still with us?
We removed him because we thought he was finished with his comments, Supervisor.
No, can you bring him back? It's okay, we can toggle our participants back and forth.
Okay.
Let me see if he's back on.
Sure.
Chip, can you see if he's back on?
We're bringing him back up.
I never, I was taken off, I never left.
Good, okay. Listen, you raised a great question. I just want to make a follow-up, because it's something that we're all concerned, concerning cadmium, in the panels. Yes, it's been a very big concern, and that's why I did bring it up, to make sure that we understood it. And I think I'm gonna defer, and I think you would agree with me that if we can go to Mr. LaSquadro, and if we can have a commitment from the applicant that they would never install a panel with that material, is that possible?
Yes.
That is possible.
And actually, it has been stated previously, but we'll reaffirm that now, yes.
I think, Mike, that would take away my concerns and your concern.
Well, certainly, that it certainly would, and I think more importantly, again, the gentleman that spoke about the poisons involved in solar panels really got a lot of people's attention, mine and yours included, and certainly I believe Tim almost immediately wanted to table it because he was concerned with it too, and rightfully so. So now that we know that it's not going to be on farmland, now that we know that it's not going to be cadmium, I'm going to give you 3 very quick questions, and then I'm going to give the gentleman a chance to answer.
30 seconds left, Mr. Foley. 30 seconds
Mike,
left.
you also have to add that it was cleared by the DEC. So, which is interesting because there are some type of possible wetlands there. So that's very, very important that the community understands that, this property, and that's also been a concern for us and you as a very active member of the civic group. It's very important that we know that these are the issues that you guys have been fronting since I took office, and I respect that, and I just want to make sure that we're all cleared on that.
Thanks, Yvette. And just three very quick questions, and you can answer them collectively when I'm done. I'm curious as to what
Supervisor,
the
that's
useful
5 minutes, just to make you
lifespan
aware.
is of the panels that you're going to install, number one. I'd like to know if the company that is installing them is in charge of the cleanup or recycling, number two. And I'd like to know number three, because in your fields, there have been companies that went into the business and went out of business before the degrading of the solar panels, sticking the municipality or the state with cleanup costs. I know Yvette mentioned the bond, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, because I think it's a great idea. And I thank you very much for giving me the chance to ask these questions.
Okay, so we're gonna put you back in the participants, and you can hear, usually, you know, the person who holds the meetings calls the person back. And I think those are good questions, and who would like, can you raise your hand? Who would like to answer those
Michael.
questions? Excuse me? Okay, Michael, it's your turn again. You're being picked on today.
No, I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk, and these are all great questions, so we really appreciate it. So the first question, and we get this a lot, is regarding the useful life of the panels. We anticipate that the useful life will be for the full operating term of this project, so we think that these panels will last for 30 years. The next question was, the people installing the panels, will they be responsible for the decommissioning plan? So we hire an EPC firm and work, hand in hand with them for the installation. They will not be responsible for the decommissioning. We will be responsible. So LI Solar Generation, NextEra Energy, and National Grid will be responsible for that decommissioning plan, which we have filed. And then the third question regarding that decommissioning plan is, what would happen if, this LI Solar or NextEra and National Grid were not around in year 30. So the first answer to that is we will post a surety bond in an amount that covers the decommissioning costs. So in the case that something were to happen, the financial burden would be covered. But then second, NextEra Energy and National Grid are, really the leaders in their industry. And there are a lot of turnover in our industry. But, we've been around, we believe in doing the right thing, and really, partnering with the community for the full life of the operation of the project. And we plan to be around as the owner and operator for the full 30 years.
And thank you for mentioning this surety bond. I don't think that I would even consider have anything to do with this project if that wasn't a consideration, because things happen in 10, 20, and 30 years, and that gives us a sense, it gives our community a sense of the future, and knowing that if we do have complications. And I have one other question. I always had envisioned panels floating down Edwards Avenue, during a hurricane. And I know initially when solar commenced that there were some type of instability. I guess the technology wasn't in there yet. And I know I seen it somewhere, but I just want you to reiterate and refresh my recollection. What happens if we get a Category 3 hurricane? And this is something that a lot of people are concerned, and it's something that it's possible. It's something that, if you're considering this project, I think the community needs to understand and be convinced, including myself, that this project is, we're going to have security, and we're not going to have panels floating down Edwards Avenue onto a farm.
Of course, that's a great question, and there was a lot of concern about that. So before I talk about just the technical aspects of the project and how it's designed, which I think you'll be very happy with, just to parse out, we also have a company, Florida Power and Light, that's a rate-regulated utility in Florida. That is, the hurricane capital of the world. So if there's anyone who knows how to develop and design solar projects in hurricane, it's us. And then obviously National Grid also has quite a tremendous undertaking on Long Island with storm response, so they're also adequately equipped. But then to talk directly about the design of the solar project, so we were actually required to design this to withstand a Category 3 hurricane. So that is up to a sustained wind speed of 130 miles an hour. So this will be one of the most storm-hardened pieces of built infrastructures in the area. I thought that. pretty strong, statement for a category 3.
Yeah, it is, and I, you know, a person who's into risk management as myself, you know, I just want to clarify for the public, risk management is when you look in the future and you proactively secure against a threat or vulnerability, and that's what that's what hardening a target or a project is, and okay, that's impressive. That's
So,
category 3.
so if I can just say, because it is in our town code that requires a surety bond for all of these solar arrays, and all of the past solar projects have provided a surety bond for the decommissioning, but I guess my concern is, we know what the cost may be today to decommission and dispose of these solar panels, but we don't know what the cost may be 30 years from now as more environmental issues arise. So has anyone posed that question to you as to the actual cost of decommissioning today versus the anticipated costs of decommissioning 30 years from now?
Good question.
So yes, in the actual decommissioning plan, that is, you know, we have filed as part of the permit. We do not just state, you know, here is a sum of money that's going to cover it. We actually detailed out what we expect the cost to be. Now, of course, you know, it is based on a forecast of that decommissioning cost in that year, but line by line of the items, and then the sum total of that amount is what we post the surety bond for.
So I guess it'll be up to our environmental planners to determine if there are any type of, composite or makeup of your solar panels that are on the environmental, agenda as far as being, not environmentally compatible, and what the cost to decommission those. But I mean, we never expected that garbage would cost this much to take out of Long Island, so I just am curious as to, any environmental concerns on the composite or the makeup of your panels that may be on the radar for the environmental committees and environmental groups as far as removing them. But as we discussed earlier with the moratorium that we had, it seemed that we had all of the environmental groups on the moratorium meeting against the solar moratorium and for the solar projects. So I would task the planners to reach out to any environmental groups with the makeup of your panels and whether or not there were any environmental concerns in the decommissioning.
Great, and Jody, and I'm glad that you reiterated that it is in our code, that we do have a surety, but this is a public hearing, and we need to ensure that the public understands that it is in the code, as you brought up, and that they are providing it as, I made sure that it was, released, and the public was made aware, so thank you. Any other, do we have any other participants in the room?
Just one question, since emergency situations was brought up. It said in the EAF that you guys had responded that you would address any concerns with the fire marshal, and I wondered if you had done that, addressed any concerns and identify emergency conditions.
Did the fire marshal have any comments about emergency conditions?
Well, in the EAF, this is part of the EAF.
Right, so the fire marshal got a copy of the EAF, and if he had concerns, he would have addressed them.
I'm asking them to.
Correct. So, I mean, when we look at comments from fire marshal, building department, these comments are just sort of a matter of the issuance of the permits. They will need a fire marshal permit to construct, they will need a building permit to construct, they will need to comply with all relevant building and fire codes. So I mean, as far as have we gotten detailed comments from the fire marshal regarding emergency situations, no, but we have permitted a number of these facilities within town, and they all have complied with the requisite fire marshal comments. They have received the permits, so there's no reason to think that this project would be any different or would not be designed to comply with those requirements.
So the fire marshal issues will be concerned and the applicant will address those.
Correct. I mean, they won't get their building permit without satisfying fire marshal comments.
Okay, so moving forward, Devin, I know we have the public, you know, let's try to answer out as many comments from the public, and then the board can ask their questions, because I know some people have been waiting for quite some time. Do we have any more participants? I see on my computer screen, there's 30 participants.
Yeah, we do have a
Do we
couple other
have
folks.
anybody-
Yep.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and bring up
30 years from
Craig Dahlgren.
That was a good question.
Okay,
Chip's gonna
So,
bring him up. There'll just be a slight delay, but he indicated that he's looking to make a comment here
No
during the
problem.
public hearing.
So I'm glad you brought up that question.
Galaxy J7V. Can you
Yes.
unmute your phone, left-hand screen, with your mouse? Press on the, red icon. Great, perfect. Perfect.
Hi, Craig.
Okay, so, good afternoon. Can you please state, Devin, you want to take it from there and ensure that the person is sworn in? Thank you.
Yeah, we need your name and your hamlet, and then I guess, Bob, you'll swear them in?
Craig Dahlgren, Calverton, New York.
Yes, good afternoon, Craig.
Craig, do you swear the testimony you are about to give or the comments that you're about to give to the town board will be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Okay, Craig, you're gonna have 5 minutes to speak, and you'll have, opportunity for the board to comment after your 5 minutes are up.
Okay, so I live at 2764 River Road. My property will border the solar project on River Road to the east as well as to the north. Our properties touched on both of those planes. I'm torn with the project, with environmental, everything, and keeping open space and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to get too much into that right now. I know I've voiced that in the past. That's kind of my stance on a lot of things that take place in the area. But more specifically, things that are going to, the sounds that are created by this, I did read through some of the provided information, and they're saying at my specific residence, I'm going to be looking at about 28, 29 decibels, which is basically like someone speaking softly. And if that's going to be something that I hear all the time, I think it would be safe to assume that nobody would really want to hear someone speaking softly in their ear all the time. In addition with that, the site of the solar panels, when I look out of the back windows of my house right now, especially as the leaves begin to fall, I'm looking out over a good portion of that farm. And I did read through some of the information that calls for some of the plantings. There was a lot of wordage in there specifically along roadsides. This portion that I'm is not along a roadside. And then to get more into the plantings, as we've seen these projects go around in Calverton specifically, you see a big variation in the quality of plantings that is done. Like Long Edwards Avenue, not such a bad job. The one over in Shoreham, great job. You can't see it from the road at all. The one up by EPCAL that borders the bike loop, terrible. It's a nice. So specifically, if we can request, I don't know whether it's more specifics on the plantings or ask the parties involved to plant it very densely and continue those plantings where it can be visible from people's homes. I know I'm not the only home that's going to be able, that's in this circumstance right now. I do have a few other things that I want to hit on. I don't know if you want me to keep going or if I should pause.
Yes, you have 5 minutes, Craig, so,
Okay.
before, you are,
Another 2.5 minutes, Craig, go ahead.
you'll be reminded.
Okay.
The time is about to expire.
In regard to the DEC with this project, I spoke to them this past Friday. They stated to me that they had made requests to the applicant for some changes on the plan, including some wildlife travel corridors because of the freshwater wetland in that River Road parcel. And I was also told, quote unquote, other changes. And the DEC told me that they had not received any revised any plans. Just give me a sec here. I think that's going to end it for me. My big thing is, I guess is, there was talk of what is the community benefit from this, and that's on a macro level. Me being a neighbor and having to basically look at this and potentially hear this all the time, do I benefit at all from this? And I don't see that I do. I see a I see a decrease in my property value. A house that had farm use, now it's solar panels. You know, is there any benefit to this to me that they can provide in accommodating it so I don't hear it, I don't see it, or anything else that they can come up with?
Michael?
Okay, Craig, thank you.
What is the zoning of this property?
Hey, of course, yeah, let me,
Industrial
I will address, some of those and also, I'll also discuss with, I'll bring in Bill Bohr and Chris Corrado to the conversation. So the first one I want to discuss is the landscaping plan, and I know you've expressed some concerns. So when I mentioned earlier that we spent a lot of time reviewing other applications and speaking with the staff and speaking with the board, and we've, got a lot of feedback around items that have worked well and items that have not worked well. And we completely understand the importance of having important vegetative screening, as well as having that, not die, that the plants stay alive year round. And then also when we met with the planning board, I actually remember they asked us to insert some more landscaping, which we were able to do so. So I'll let Chris and Bill add to this, but we have provided a pretty substantial vegetative screening from what we think. But I'll let Chris and Bill jump in also. And then also on sound. So when we first submitted this, we made sure to comply with all of the town's codes. And your question regarding whether the operation of it. So we don't operate the solar project at night. So the main time from sound will really be during the operation of the solar project, which is what we provided in the permit. From the DEC travel corridors, I'll defer to Chris and Bill, but I'm pretty sure, because we've received the permit, that we have answered all those questions and corresponded back to them. But I will bring in Chris and Bill just to make sure that, but Chris and Bill, if one of you want to jump on and speak to that also.
Sure. This is William Bohr. I haven't been sworn in yet.
Do you swear?
Yes, okay, good afternoon. So Devin, can you take over, please, and have the identification and the swearing in?
Sure, if you could just state your name again, and then we'll have Bob swear you in.
Sure, my name is William. Excuse me, I'm having audio issues here too. My name is William Bohr. I'm with NextEra Energy on behalf of Long Island Solar Generation.
Okay, if you raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony or the responses you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I'm not sure you heard
Yes,
me.
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just a couple points to a couple points to touch on there from Mr. Dahlgren. In terms of noise, as Michael said, the facility will not operate at night, and this will just be during the day. And you'd mentioned that your property was about approximately 35 decibels or so. So I would just point out that the town's nighttime noise requirement for commercial, I believe, is as high as 50 decibels, which is also relatively wide. So again, this is a solar facility. The only noise sources are a few inverters that will be centrally located to the arrays. So noise from solar generation is minimal at best, and just during daytime hours. In terms of the landscape planting, we feel we have a very robust plan coming in. As you noted, the other projects in the area along Edwards Ave, we worked with the town planning department. They had suggestions that we did incorporate, and we have agreed to install trees, install them at a height of 7 to 8 feet tall. So it's not going to be small trees right off the bat. We're going to have pretty substantial planting that will grow, and they're primarily evergreen trees, which have some deciduous shrubs to break up the appearance a little bit. So it will provide an effective buffer. as for the DEC, they issued their approval in April of this year. So the review process has ended. So there might be some misunderstanding there, but since the application is concluded and their review is complete, they issued the permit, so there's no more outstanding comments.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's talking about, when you came to the work session, there was a building that was proposed that was on the, I guess the southwest side of the property that had a humming noise supposedly through the transformer or through the generation to get over to the facility, and you were saying that that was the noise that would be like somebody whispering, not during the construction, not during the day, not at night, but, so, I think that's what he's talking about, is that building
I
and
think
the
he
noise,
left us.
and the noise emanating from that building.
Jody, I think the participant left us, but however, definitely answer the question for the council member.
Bill, maybe you could just clarify again the nature of the very limited noise that you're referring to and how it wouldn't be at night, and just speak to the, the lack of impact of that. If you could just do that again.
Sure. Yeah, so the noise producing sources on the project are limited to just the inverters, which would be located centrally throughout the arrays. And then also the collection substation 2 has a transformer. Again, so those were all modeled, and report was issued as part of the special permit application, which detailed all that were well in compliance, actually very low compared to the town's standards. So that operational, there would be minimal, if any, noise from the project. During construction, obviously anytime you have a construction project, it's typical to have noise associated with that construction. But again, that would be done during daylight hours. It'd be done in accordance with the town requirements, and it'd be temporary in nature.
I also see that
And then-
Chris Corrado would like to respond to this question from the councilwoman. Chris?
Sure. Am I still on?
Yes, you are, and
Yeah,
you request
okay.
to respond, so the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So just to understand noise, when we're doing the noise assessment for a new project, we're looking at what the noise sources are of the project and what impacts they'd have at various distances to various receptors. The thing that's really not factored in there is the ambient noise that's there. So typical, I'm going to say suburban noise at night is probably around 40 decibels, during the day maybe 50. This is more of a rural area, so it would be a little bit lower than that. But when you look at noise, if there's 29 decibels modeled for that property, and then you add it to what's already there, it's not increased, it's not additive, it's logarithmic. So you may get a 1 or a 2 decibel increase in the existing noise that's already there, which really isn't even perceptible to the human ear. So you can't really say it's going to be 29, because it could already be 35 or 40 there.
I'm just saying, if you had that building with the transformer in the middle of a field, and if you do have one somewhere, then maybe this gentleman that has concerns about what the noise level is coming out of that, would you be able to hear it? Is it a constant humming noise that's, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Is it, just curious about that, number one. Number two, do you think that dense plantings around those buildings would make the noise go down even further?
So generally speaking, the two things with noise that really impact it is first is distance from the noise source and any kind of screening. So trees with leaves on, and I think we are proposing evergreen trees, so they will impact the noise. And the distance, of course, we're keeping it, the inverters are in towards the middle. The transformer is down on the south side of the property, and there are really not that many residents. I should say there's a commercial operation and not many residents along there. So combined with daytime use, the traffic around there, things like that, you're probably not going to be able, if you hear it, you're probably not going to be able to pick out where the noise is coming from.
And if I may, just,
And Jody,
go ahead, Mike.
Steve, let me just jump in really quick. And Jody, just to answer your question directly, because I think I know what you're asking. You're regarding our GSU, our step-up. Our step-up transformer is actually on the eastern parcel, so it is, over hundreds of yards away from the property Craig mentioned, and also situated in a way so that it fully complies with all the town codes. Now, again, to answer directly, if you were, and to Chris's point, if you were standing right beside us, yeah, you'd hear a slight hum. But at the property line, like Chris said, it's not really noticeable and completely in line with town codes.
Yeah, well, I get it that it's in compliance with the town code, but a special permit, if we don't issue the special permit and we have concerns about the noise, whether it's, you're complying with the town code or not, that's a consideration that we have to take into, that's something we have to take into consideration in issuing the special
Mhm.
permit. So you can say you're in compliance with the
Yep.
town code all you'd like. I wanna know whether or not this resident is going to hear that from his house, 24
And-
hours a day.
No, the answer is no. No, he will not. It's too far away.
And just, just as to this section of the EAF where you responded about this, not just about sound, but about setbacks and coverage requirements, I believe that you are providing only the minimum standards under the Commercial Energy Production Systems Code requirements.
Okay, Supervisor, we have a couple other folks in the meeting room.
Yes, and we need to move the public, we can't keep the publics in holding, so long, so, yeah, can we please move them forward?
Okay, so we have Ed Graham
Okay?
in the waiting room. We're gonna bring him up.
Yes, Mr. Graham, we got to ensure that he knows his 5 minutes, time. I know that he's, we need to not have, again, the public just waiting too long. So Ed, you're back, again.
Hi, Mr. Graham, again, if you could state your name and hamlet for the record, so the
Mr.
transcriptionist
Graham,
has it.
your mic.
You could
Okay,
leave
you
your,
got your mic, thank you. Okay,
and if you could leave your comments, please, to 5 minutes, the town board can respond after you've finished. Uh-oh. Ed, we cannot hear you.
This is the best he's sounded in a long time.
Ed, we can't hear you at all.
Ed, you're a computer whiz, what happened here? You have,
Ed, we have
Okay.
your video, but we don't have your audio, so maybe you
Can
can
you
work
go
on that,
on your
we'll come
phone
back to
then?
you.
The solar power is not working, generating his computer.
Okay, Ed.
If there's someone else and we can come back to him.
Is there anybody else in the waiting room?
Yeah, we do have one or two other folks.
go to
So
them
Chip,
and
we can bring
maybe
him
he'll-
down. We're gonna bring
maybe he'll
somebody else
connect
up.
again.
So we have Calverton Civic. We'll bring them up next.
okay. So it's Cavilton Civic, please unmute your mic, left hand, icon, perfect. Devin, can you wanna take it forward?
Yep, Calverton Civic, hi there. Hello.
There.
Hi, if you could state your name and hamlet, please, for the record, and keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Sure. Taki Turchin with Greater
Hi,
Cal-
Taki, how are you?
Hello.
I missed you.
I'm well.
Good.
I hope you are too.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed you at the civics meeting the other day, but anyway, we're here for a public hearing, so we're moving forward.
Thank you, and that'll be addressed at another time. Thank you.
Yes, it will.
So with, I'm with Greater Calverton Civic Association, in the 11933 zip code, the, community in which this project would like to land. And,
Taki, I'm gonna
today-
stop you short and ask if you raise your right
Oh,
hand
right.
and testify or state that you're about to give, what are you about to state, and your comments you're about to make would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll just have a couple of questions. I'm very glad actually to be able to be here. It's 3:45 on a workday afternoon, and I began this at 2:00. I know this is a special permit meeting. I just want to let you know that it is very difficult for the public to participate at 2:00 in the afternoon, and the 6:00 times were much more useful and helpful, just as a note. So moving along from that, there was a letter that our civic was able to send. Sharon Dunnigan, as a part of our civic, wrote it into our town board, and everyone on the board, it seems, has read it because some of the questions have been answered today and addressed. And I thank you very much for that, and for making sure that information was brought to light and questions were answered. One of the things I think that didn't get to on that letter was, it looks as though there's quite a bit of area available, open space, if you will, on this property that could afford perhaps to be a little bit more dedicated to our surrounding community. And it's something that many of our civic members have talked about, and we would have loved to have had a chance to talk with the applicant themselves before today, so that we could have a real interaction and a stakeholders, say, committee meeting. We consider that's what our civic is. But be that as it may, I'm just going to pop this one up now. Would Nextera consider a bike path to be built around the property?
It was brought up, Taki. I brought it up, actually.
It was lightly, but I don't know if now is a good time to expand on it. The other questions quite a bit of time was spent on them, and I was hoping that maybe more could be spent on this one.
So you can make all your comments, Taki, and then we're gonna open it up to the board and the other folks there from Nextera to answer all your questions, one after the other.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm left with. You guys covered the other ones. Thank you very much, and I'd like to see some discussion on that one if possible.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Turkey.
You're welcome.
So I had asked them, with the 25% area that's being preserved, if there's a possibility of creating a recreation trail or a hiking trail, and possibly either dedicating it to the town of Riverhead or deeding it to the town of Riverhead with an offer of dedication. And that's something that the board will have to discuss at a work session, because if they deeded it, then we would be responsible for the property. Perhaps they could build the trail, which has happened in other scenarios. And if they were to have an easement over it, then they would be responsible for maintaining it. So it's something that was brought up today based on Sharon Dunnigan's letter, and I think the board will probably be discussing it at a work session. I think it's a great idea, as I said before, for Sharon to have brought up, and something that the town board should talk about and consider with these types of projects. So,
Just to reiterate that, this property is a property that is currently used for recreational purposes. So it would be, I know that the community would like to see, some sort of recreational benefit to the community. And I also wonder if the applicants might consider, perhaps even having a meeting with Calverton Civic, since this is something that's going into the Calverton community.
I'm going to just chime in one little point, because under our code, under special permits, and that's 301, 312, and we always ask that, at some point, we're going to get a litany or a response from probably counsel for the applicant to explain why he meets all those criteria, the points. Subsection J reads, where appropriate, a public or semi-public plaza or recreational or other public areas will be located on the property. So it is an item that can be considered by the board.
and it can be a condition of the special permit also.
Right, I agree with that.
Okay, as we saw before, we have members of the public that have been waiting for 2.5 hours to get on, so let's try to move them as quickly as possible, and then we can discuss further with the applicant and their counsel. Devin, do we have anyone awaiting, Chip, do we have anyone in the waiting room?
We do. We have a couple other folks. So we have somebody that's called in. So with phone number ending 2296,
Okay,
you've raised your hand, you've indicated you want to speak. We're going to go ahead and bring you up. So phone number in 2296, you can unmute yourself by hitting star, pound 6, right, Chip? Star 6. We'll unmute you. Okay, go
Hello?
ahead. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, can you
Yes,
state your name
can.
and Hamlet, please, for the record? You'll have 5 minutes to speak.
Yeah,
Okay, we can no longer hear you. Can you, if you're driving, can you please stop your car safely, obviously? in a safe location.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
You're breaking up on us, sir. We can't make out what you're saying.
My name is Joseph Ripple. I'm an individual.
Okay, I got,
It's indecipherable, sir. If you want to,
If,
Chip, can you type in that we're gonna get back to him when he gets to a different location?
Supervisor, we can't communicate over the chat feature with anybody calling in, so.
Oh, okay,
I'm still here.
Oh, hi there.
I'm
We have you
sorry.
now.
okay.
Hi, can you,
I just had a question, if any study was done.
before you get started, sir,
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You need to state your name and your hamlet, and you have to be sworn in. This is an official public hearing, so we need to take those 30 seconds and take care of those.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Okay, I did say that, but I guess you didn't hear me, it was in and out. My name is Joseph Erpely. I'm from Ronkonkoma, and I am just asking a question on the solar project. If any study was done on the impact of the
hold on a
electric
second,
rate?
Sir,
I'm sorry
before
to
you
interrupt,
ask the
but
question,
once
do you swear?
Once you identify, you have to be sworn in, okay? And
Sworn
then
in,
you
yes,
ask
I'm
the
sorry.
question, okay? No problem, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Bob, can you proceed
Yes,
swearing in?
sir, do you swear the testimony or the comment you're about to give to the town board to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
and you'll have 5 minutes, sir.
Thanks, Devin.
So
5 minutes.
my question is, has any study been done on the impact of the, any kind of electric rates, for the area once this, solar panel farm is installed? Because typically the rates get increased in an area, if everyone has solar panels and one person doesn't, they will have an extremely high electric rate. So I'm just wondering what kind of impact it'll have on the community, the other people, using regular electric.
Did the gentleman say that he's from Ronkonkoma?
Yes.
Yes.
So the impact he's looking for when he says community, is it the Ronkonkoma community or?
No, the local Riverhead community. I'm from outside Riverhead, yes, understand that, but I'm just wondering if anyone has looked at what kind of impact it will have in the local community there.
Mr. Ercoli, you can go ahead and make all your comments, ask all your questions in the 5 minutes, and then the board and the folks from Nextera can go ahead and answer those for you. Did you have any other questions you wanted to put forth today?
Yeah, that, I didn't fully hear you, but that was my question.
Okay, so you have one question, so therefore Devin, can you conclude the comment period before there's a response?
Yeah, we're going to remove Mr. Ercoli. We do have somebody else in the room that wants to speak when you guys are finished answering.
Well, Mr. Dowling can answer that now. Thank you.
Yep, of course. So thanks for the question. LI Solar Generation has a contract with Long Island Power Authority for the output of Calverton Solar Energy Center. I apologize, but I cannot answer that question. That would have to be Long Island Power Authority. I'm in no position to talk about rates on behalf of Long Island Power Authority. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward,
Right.
do we have other residents waiting in the waiting room?
Actually, I think Supervisor, that is it. For somebody else, that's it.
Oh, Mr. Grant
They
is
wanna go
showing
back
up.
to Mr. Graham, okay.
Mr. Grant, yes, he's hearing us, so I believe he's somewhere in there. Let's locate him and let's move him forward. Mr. Grant, has, I'm sure has, a lot to say on this issue. There you are.
There he is.
Mr. Graham, can you hear us? Unmute your mic, left hand, cursor on the mic. There you go, perfect. Can you hear us now?
He's still muted.
Ed, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, you just still muted. Okay, you're
Now you're
unmuted now. you're toggling between mute and unmute. Can you, if you can hear me, raise your hand. Mr. Graham, he's actually now frozen.
Looks like your screen is frozen, Mr. Graham.
Can you hear me?
Sort of.
I could barely hear you, but, can you say a few words for Tess?
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're having, Mr. Graham, I think, is having some technological issues there.
Well, the public
Okay.
hearing will be opened up for 10 days after the state, correct, for written
It will
comments?
indeed, yes, it will.
Yeah, and just to that point, I'm gonna ask if we could extend the special permit hearing until we get answers from the applicant as to questions that were brought up, by the public and by the council today. And also, there's some other information that I asked to be made public, and I know you guys will move forward with that, but I've asked that first we make sure the public gets the answers to their questions, and we have brought up some questions too.
Okay, does any other board members have any other comments?
My only suggestion is for a public hearing, I think we should have had some idea of what a community benefit is for this as part of the process. I'm a little disappointed that it hasn't been determined at this point in time, so I look forward to hearing what that's going to be, hopefully before the written comment section is closed.
Right.
And I totally agree with you. We met with council, the entire board, and that should have been portrayed to the applicant. If that hasn't been done, it has to be done. There was a lengthy discussion between the town board and council, and that has to move forward, and I totally agree with you, Tim. Before a decision is made on this, that has to be addressed.
And I agree with Tim as well. I'd like to see the benefits to the community.
Fine, okay. We'll now close the public portion section of this hearing. We'll leave it open for written comments and further information to be provided by the applicant for 10 days until 4:30 on October 30th at the town clerk's office.
But I would like to hear the answers to the questions from our community and from the council. I was hoping to keep it open beyond the 10 days until we at least get those answers.
Okay. And moving forward, this concludes our public hearing portion of the meeting. We'll now move on to public comments on the resolution before us today. Does anyone wish to be heard? Devin, anyone in the meeting room or on the Zoom?
Yes.
Want to comment? And again, be mindful that we're not trying to move these participants forward. They've been on for approximately, at least hours. They've been on here for a couple hours, and then we can have comments afterwards.
Okay.
Madam
Shabbat, do we?
We can sign off, is that okay?
Yes, you can, and everybody be safe.
And thank you for your time, and thank the board for its time today. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, Chip, you can bring up Paul Napoli. Paul Napoli is in the waiting room, and he's looking to make a comment on one of the resolutions before the board today.
Sure.
It's just a slight delay bringing the folks out of the meeting room and bringing the other folks in.
How many are in for resolutions?
I'm sorry?
How many are in for resolutions?
Just a couple. Mr. Napoli, can you hear us?
I can.
Hi there, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Aguilar.
If you could state your name and hamlet for the record, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes, after which the board will respond.
Sure. My name is Paul Napoli. I'm a lifelong resident of Quogue and in Brookville, New York. I live in both Suffolk and Nassau County. I went to high school at Chaminade on Long Island and college and law school here in New York, and I have a law firm in Melville, New York, that specializes in environmental contamination. I'm the lead lawyer in the PFAS litigation, which is the subject of Resolution 25. And I learned 2 days ago that the resolution was up and I request that the board table it and give my firm an opportunity to make a presentation. There was no RFP process in picking a firm to represent the town. I practice in Suffolk County. I live in Suffolk County. I go to the Dark Horse. I'm in the courthouse. My kids go to the aquarium. And not to be boastful, but I don't think there is a better law firm in Suffolk County to handle the town's PFAS litigation than our firm in Melville. We have almost 80 lawyers. We are, the law firm that's being proposed is from San Francisco. They're not from Long Island. They're, 6-hour plane ride away. I'm 10 minutes from Quogue, and I'm 45 minutes from Brookville. I represent the town of Southampton. I represent Hampton Bays Water District, represent Hicksville Water District. I was appointed by the federal judge in charge of the PFAS litigation. He vetted our firm. He appointed me as one of the lead representing the litigation throughout the country. I've been doing environmental litigation for 28 years. We have a law firm that has a dedicated environmental department. We support legislatures and boards throughout the state. We're endorsed by the New York State County Association. We're endorsed by the Municipal Association. We represent the New York Water and National Rural Water Association. And so my concern was that you had an out-of-state law firm that was approved without an RFP. We were not given an opportunity to make a presentation. And if fair is fair, we think we would win the day with people from my office who are all residents of Suffolk County and Nassau County. And we would give a better price to the town of Riverhead. We've worked with H2M. H2M has recommended us to other towns throughout Long Island. I did review the fee proposal, and we would beat the fee proposal that was Cher Edling has put forth and save the towns hundreds, if not millions of dollars in the future. And that was my request to speak today, was to ask the board to table this resolution to give us, like I said, lifelong residents. All our families live on Suffolk and Nassau. Give a local firm an opportunity, a firm that's represented 9/11 first responders, an opportunity to give a better deal to the town for people who live around the corner and part of the community, not in San Francisco.
Okay.
So I'm just going to respond to that. This did come up rather quickly to council, so I did meet with, our water department, head of our water department after to inquire about this. I am gonna defer to Mr. Kozakevich, but I was told that we joined in with some other entities on this, and and the firm is, a renowned firm in, environmental work. So I will defer to Mr. Kozakevich as to the legality of the RFP and such, and why this firm was chosen. And I think it would be a good idea, since this did come up pretty quickly. You mentioned it a little the other day, but give a little more information about this.
Bob, just before you respond,
Okay, we need to,
Mr. Napoli,
Devin, this is not back and forth. We were gonna respond to the question.
right.
He's done.
So, Mr. Napoli,
And bring up Kosovich.
if you're all finished, Tripp will go ahead and pull him off the screen. Okay, thanks, Bob.
I guess there's always a question, careful what you get yourself into. Because I was kind of peripheral to this, and this was a lot of discussion that took place between the Water District and their special counsel. That said, I know that Mr. Napoli's firm is one that we did use in the past, actually, for the MTBE litigation. And to go back to the original point, whether there's an RFP or not, there is no requirement for an RFP, as the board well knows. when you're dealing with professional services, whether it's an engineer, architect, attorneys, there is no requirement for an RFP. I don't think there's any mad rush for this, so you know, if the board wanted to,
Yeah, that was gonna be my
speak to
question.
all of the attorneys and vet them,
Yep.
I see no downside in doing so,
Right.
quite frankly, so.
That was gonna be my question, is how will this set the water department back?
It
And
would
how will
not.
it set our
It
citizens
would,
back?
it would not, it would
Okay.
not, so if the
Because
board
I think
were
if he
of the
can save us
mindset to
money,
table.
that might be something to look
I
into.
think I'm gonna,
It looks like it's contingent upon
Frank,
the
you bring
settlement.
up a good question.
Right.
I know that I got a text today, and I was told that, you know, it's urgent, and this had to be done today. And that's what happens when we try to push things through quickly, that maybe sometimes, like Catherine said, we don't have time to sometimes get into it in too much detail, especially the day of a town board meeting. So I agree with you. I think, we should just take a quick look. If it's not gonna affect the progress, then I think we owe it to Mr. Napoli to take a look and provide him with an explanation.
Okay, I make a motion to table, well, when we get to it, and it's resolution number 2020-556 for the record.
Okay.
Right.
And Jody, I'll second that, so let's move forward.
Yep.
Do we have any other, participants in the waiting room?
We do, Supervisor. We have, Ms. Hoyle.
Yeah, and just wanted to say one more thing on that. I'm fine with waiting on that because it did come up suddenly, but I believe the fee is contingent upon the settlement. And also, one of the other entities that I know was in with this group was the Suffolk County Water was also in this group of entities. Just
Yeah,
mentioning
again, this was sort of came in last. I mean, Mr. Napoli's firm was one of the ones we were looking at, and again, I have no reason why we can't, if the board wants to do a side-by-side comparison, maybe even a third firm
Yeah, but
will
I think what
surface.
would be helpful for you to find out for us is, has Suffolk County Water Authority already signed a commitment letter with the firm that is in our resolution?
The answer is, I will not know. I'll get back to you, because again, as I said, or I tried to explain before, much of this was done through the Water District and their special counsel. I sort of was the one who ushered it through by getting it into Minitrack, so I'm gonna have to be
Okay,
very
so
honest and
we'll-
admit that I'm not fully up to
So
speed.
let's get this on a work session.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have Ms. Hoyle,
Moving
who
forward,
just brought her
Ellen
up.
Hoyle, how you doing?
All right, how are you doing today?
Good.
As usual, if you could state your name and hamlet, and keep your comments please to 5 minutes.
Yes, my name is Ellen Hoyle. I'm from Riverhead. I was chiming in to make comments on 3 of the resolutions today, one of which Mr. Napoli covered, so I'll skip that one. The first one is on Resolution 2020-555, which is number 24 on the list, which has to do with the LEAP panel. Was wondering, I know you're not going to answer the question, but as to what the minimum age of this panel seems to be, as it seems to be a much older panel and is losing a big portion of our community, but not including younger people. I think there would also be served with young minority business owners in the area. So I think they should certainly be included or considered.
Jeremy House.
Second resolution is on Resolution 2020-560.
No,
29.
stage discrimination, but Jeremy is.
The sun, right?
The son, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
concerning the Riverhead, are you finishing your comments?
No, I have one comment
Okay.
about the next resolution.
Okay, so you provide all your comments at once, and then we'll respond.
Yeah, that's fine. So Resolution 2020-560, which was the authorization of the retention of the law firm for legal action against the town of Riverhead. There was no indication in the agenda packet as to what this litigation was about. There was an index number provided. So I looked it up, and I'm finding that the town is being sued for an amount of $10 million regarding a violation of Title VII, a hostile work environment related to Melissa Elko, who was a Riverhead police dispatcher. And I'm wondering why that was not mentioned in any of the paperwork regarding this resolution, as it states that it is against Ms. Aguiar as Police Commissioner, Town Supervisor, and individually, Police Helmaker, the Riverhead Police Department, and one of the police officers, Richard Freeborn. This is the first I'm hearing of this,
And so I'm wondering, I know that you're usually concerned about liability issues, Ms. Supervisor, so I'm wondering, is this correct that we are in fact being sued for $10 million?
Okay, concerning the LEAP program, we have 3 young business individuals.
Okay.
The owner of Shea. Devin, can you clear the screen, because I can't see the typing.
Ms.
when
Hoyle,
people
are you
typing
finished with
in.
your comments?
Okay, with the participant. So, we do have 3 business owners. One is a landscaper, another one is a business owner, and a third one, actually, there's 3 business owners on there, and they are younger. And, so that's our concern. Because, anybody can make an, complaint, we'll bring up our attorney, Kasakevich, but that also includes the town board. If you missed in between, the Yvette Aguiar and the Chief Heckermiller, and it's the town of Riverhead. Our town board is the safeguards and the people who overwatch, and they did specifically mention the town of Riverhead, which includes the town board. So with that in mind, we'll let the attorney, Bob, come forward and move forward to answer that question.
Okay, Ms. Hoyle, as you have indicated, you've already looked at and examined the record on this. You therefore know that this is a summons with notice. There is no complaint that's been filed at this point. We never set forth what the plaintiffs had claim for damages are. It's usually just a statement as to the hiring of counsel. So I'm not sure why that is even a question here, but the litigation is of record. The index number is set forth in the resolution. The firm that has been chosen to hire is doing so at the rate that's customary for these type of cases. The firm that is being hired, in a particular partner, Mr. Messina, is a well-respected, well-known attorney who has many years of legal experience, including a vast amount of litigation. He was with a former firm, Sinrek, Kozakov, and Messina, who has also been utilized by this town board. And they have split, but they did so amicably, and he brings that experience with him. I'm not sure what else to add at this point. Once this passes, which hopefully it will, we'll then be in a position to get a further clarification and an actual complaint setting forth what is actually being set forth here as far as the complaint against the parties. And at that point in time, I'm sure there'll be further discussion with the town board. But at this point, all we've been is a generic statement about a hostile work environment without any indication of specific facts, dates, whether there was any prior complaints made to anybody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So at this point, again, it's just a summons with notice.
Okay, perfect. Moving forward, do we have anyone else in the waiting room?
Supervisor, that concludes the participants in the meeting room. We do have Bill Rothar here who wants to make one comment on a resolution.
Devin, I can't hear you. Can you go closer to the mic, please?
Sure. So that concludes our comments from the meeting room. We don't have any other members of the public looking to comment on resolutions, but we do have Bill Rothar here. He's going to make a quick comment to the board on one of the resolutions before you today.
Okay, Bill, we're gonna have to add them. We don't like last minute, unfortunately, because it creates a lot of paperwork, but we will come forward. Bill?
We're not adding anything.
No.
Come up to the mic, please.
I'm just making a quick comment on Resolution 2020-539. That's on the purchase of this dump truck, the Freightliner. This is the first time we're doing this where we're putting the budget transfer in with the resolution awarding a bid, and erroneously the amount of the purchase was left out of the resolution itself. It wasn't the paperwork behind it, so I'm just going to make a change including the purchase amount in here because the transfer from fund balance is different because there was money in the account.
Okay, that's fine. Moving forward, Diane, can you please read the resolutions?
Sure. Resolution
Resolution 532.
Water District budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded?
So move.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Please,
Kent.
I did inquire at the work session as to, because the H2M had asked for 11,000 and why there was an extra in there, but it was explained to me that that was for legal services. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 533.
East End Disabilities Water Service Installation number 82052. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 534.
Scavenger Waste District budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 535.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for request of proposals for the renovation and conversion of the Benjamin Barn at East End Arts Council to ceramic studio. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 536.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for liquid sludge removal, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 537.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for chemicals for Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 538.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for uniforms and work clothing, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 539.
Bid award for 2020 or newer chassis, 10-foot, 304 stainless steel dump body, custom low mount hitch, 10-foot stainless steel material spreader, 10-foot snowplow, and central hydraulics. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes, with winter coming, let's get this equipment in.
Kent.
They say it's going to be mild. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
I hope you're right, Catherine. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 540.
Awards bid for traffic signal emergency repair and additional work as authorized in the 2020/2021 contract. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 541.
Extends bid Nunc Pro Tunc for Ford automotive replacement parts. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 542.
Authorizes supervisor to execute change order number 1, installation of water mains and appurtenances, the Vistas of Bating Hollow, Fox Hill Drive, Bating Hollow Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 543.
Amendment fee waiver, request for special event Muddy Princess. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Muddy Princess, sounds interesting. Yes.
Aguirre.
Vote please. Yes, thank you.
Resolution adopted.
I'm trying to get through all the paperwork.
Resolution.
I know, I'm just trying to go quickly like you. Go ahead.
Resolution 544.
Thanks.
Authorizes the removal of fixed assets. So moved.
Seconded?
Please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
I don't know, Catherine may want that detention chair from the police department.
I
Yes.
never put anybody in a chair.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 545.
Accepts the resignation of a part-time environmental planner. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I wish John Flood well. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
John Flood, thank you for your great work. Best of luck. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 546.
Accepts resignation of part-time Spanish-speaking clerk. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
C.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 547.
Ratifies the appointment of a temporary part-time public safety dispatcher. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, I want to thank the chief for bringing this forward because we are short public dispatchers, and when we have police in the dispatch room, it costs us a lot in overtime and larger salary. So by bringing somebody back on a part-time basis, we'll save some money. Thank you, chief, and yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, Jody, I concur with your response, and actually, we're down a few dispatchers, and they're very critical to the police department's operation. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 548.
Appoints call-in recreation staff to the recreation department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 549.
Grants approval for the special permit application of Peconic County Brewery, LLC, 221 East Main Street, Riverhead, New York. Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-129-1-22.1. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
I can't wait, yes.
Giglio.
I know you couldn't wait because you read my resolution.
That's right.
Yes.
Did I?
Aguirre.
Oh.
Absolutely, yes.
Wow.
Resolution adopted.
It's okay.
Sorry.
See how good I was? I didn't say anything until the end when you said I can't wait, and then I said I know.
Resolution
I just saw Hubbard
550.
there and I went for it.
Assumes lead agency and issues negative declaration for the special permit and site plan applications for Crown Castle Tower Consolation Project at Fresh Pond Avenue, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-77-2-2. So moved.
Seconded.
Lost my breath.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 551.
I just had another one
Classified-
at my desk.
Classifies action, declares lead agency, adopts negative declaration, and adopts a strategic plan for the transit-oriented development, Railroad Avenue Urban Renewal Area, and the DC 3 district. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 552.
Declares SRBH Lots LLC in default regarding completion of the public improvements at the Realty subdivision known as Map of Country Trails at Bating Hollow. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 553.
Amends Resolution 2020-458 and authorizes use of additional Pine Barrens credits from property in the town of Riverhead, as per Joseph Urkel. So moved.
Seconded.
Before
Vote,
you
please.
take up a vote, I do have a question. I sent around an email earlier. Mr. Orcoli had underestimated how much he thought he would need. He was hoping that we could do 0.2 more for a total of 1.2. I don't know, I heard from some of you, but not all of you. So I didn't know if you wanted to vote for a revised or an amended resolution. So where it says 0.5 additional, it'd be 0.7 additional.
I'd be in favor of that.
That would be in the first whereas.
So would I.
And in the,
Yep.
now therefore be resolved, that would be changed from 1.0 to 1.2.
Yep, the land's already preserved, so
Okay.
it
All right,
doesn't really
just wanna
matter.
make
Yes.
sure. Okay.
Yes, move
So
that
that's as
forward with
amended?
an adjustment,
Okay,
Bob.
thank you.
Yes, great, thank you.
Okay, that was moved and
So
seconded,
Catherine's
right?
gonna move it as amended, right?
Yes.
Second as amended. Bayrock, second as amended.
Yeah, it should be Bayrod, right?
No, I'm the next one.
Seconded as amended.
Yes.
Okay, we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, vote.
I'm on the wrong
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes, as amended.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 554.
I just want to call for a little discussion here first. Just a question, I think this is good that we're moving forward with this. We need to, but I just wanted to confirm, we were supposed to get some exhibits, or they were supposed to have an inspector go out and meet someone from the town, and I believe none of that happened.
Well, I was gonna actually, chime in. It didn't happen. We didn't hear from the individual.
Did or
who's-
didn't? Sorry.
We did not hear from the individual until yesterday. Then he asked if we could possibly have a meeting out there tomorrow, which, will not work. So he has offered to have an inspection done with Mr. Testa, but Mr. Testa has, an OSHA, mandatory meeting that's all day tomorrow, so he cannot attend. But we did hear from, Adam, Xing, who was the individual who came on behalf of the owner. So he did appear. I mean, he did finally respond.
I said we adopt it, and then if he gets, can test in there sooner than later, then
We're trying to set up something for sometime next week.
good, so let's adopt
To
it.
get in there.
Yeah, the residents of East Creek definitely deserves a resolution. It's been so many years. This is a common practice. At the last minute, the owner comes forward with promises, and months and years pass. And I totally agree with Jody Giglio. That's a great approach. Meet next week. There is no more extension. We're going forward with the resolution. But we're gonna hold on to it for 1 week, and it's about time we conclude. This
Well,
house has to be taken down.
Just to clarify, it's gonna be a while before we actually go out, do a bidding process anyway, because this resolution is, while it's declaring it to be a structure that needs to be raised, and for the reasons set forth in the resolution, it also directs that the engineering division develop plans in order to have that process followed. So it's
Yes.
going to be a while before we get the bidding documents and the process out there and actually retain a contractor to knock it down. So in the interim, if the owner gets a fire under them and we do see something moving, there's an alternative. But again, this isn't gonna be the last resolution this board's gonna see. There's gonna be more that's gonna come in the form of authorizing someone to take it down. There's gonna be, so there's gonna be some more time yet.
Right.
Okay, Bob, and I understand, and yes, please, start the process, and if along the way something happens, that's fine. We're not gonna wait for the, owners to say next week, and then next
Exactly.
month, and then start the process. Start the process now, and if somewhere along the line it can stop and it's rectified, it is. Tim, I saw you, did you have a question on this?
No,
I thought I saw your
10 days
hand
ago
or.
at the public hearing, I was willing to knock it down, so.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
okay, so you're in agreement. We've got to start the process now. We're moving forward, and Jody, that was a great suggestion. Can we continue on?
Yes, so I can call it now, right? Determination and emergency declaration that the structure located at 168 Creek Road, Wading River, also known as Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-29-1-30-1 is unsafe, is in imminent danger of collapse, poses a hazard and danger to the public, and orders the town engineering department to facilitate the demolition of said structure and to access demolition, removal, and administrative costs against the subject property. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrod,
Absolutely.
Kent,
Yes, I am in favor of moving forward with this, as agreed. Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
No question, yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 555.
Approves formation of the Riverhead Law Enforcement Advisory Panel, LEAP, and the appointment of the members. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
I'm glad we're moving forward with this. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Excellent choice of people for the panel. I vote yes.
Giglio,
Agreed, yes.
Aguirre.
I agree, yes, and we may be adjusting and adding a few other individuals down the line. Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 556.
I make a motion, we table resolution number 556 with authorize the town supervisor to execute legal services agreement with Share Edling LLP to pursue litigation on behalf of the Riverhead Water District. Based on comments today, I make a motion to table. So moved.
Seconded?
Third.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes to table.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution 556 is tabled. Resolution 557.
Just call to, discussion here, Bob, I had asked for some, I didn't get to see, I had asked for some, things to be corrected in this, just wanted to confirm that there were some incorrect dates and
There was, I think it said 2000.
still said John Walter, I think.
But it's correct. If you look at the resolve.
Yeah, I know, I wasn't seeing it here
It's,
for some reason.
it was originally on the very first resolve, it was December 31, and I think it said 2000, 2001, so it had an extra digit in there.
Right.
So now it's 2001. And the agreement was amended to reflect that it's Supervisor Aguiar signing, and I also made some other changes to make sure it was clear it was enough pro tem.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Amends resolution number 2020-30 and approves execution of a revised agreement between the town of Riverhead and Flynn's Stenography and Transcription Services. So moved,
Second, Catherine.
as amended.
Vote, please.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Bayrock.
Post mine.
That was Tim's. Yes, yes.
Kent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even
Giglio.
have it.
Yes.
Aguiar.
yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution
That's right.
558.
It's you.
Okay. I was getting excited and went ahead. Authorizes funding application to the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services for live scan equipment. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 559.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice for public hearing regarding U.S. HUD Community Development Block Grant CDBG 2021 funds. So moved.
Second?
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 560.
Authorizes retention of the law firm of Messina Perillo Hill LLP as special counsel to defend legal action against the town of Riverhead, commenced by Melissa Breitenbach Elko. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 561.
Public hearing for 2021 budget and elected official salaries. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 562.
Pays the bills.
Frank,
So
that,
moved.
that was you,
Seconded.
Frank.
Okay.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
That's the end of the resolutions, correct, Diane?
That is correct.
Oh, but we were
Well,
bringing-
I
we were
understood
bringing
you
this
wanted
up.
to take one off the floor.
Yes.
I thought we had one off the table.
We do.
Bringing
Yeah.
one off the table, or off the floor, whatever.
I would like
Okay.
to bring a resolution off the floor, and I believe it would be 563, resolution number 2020-563, and that appoints a marriage officer.
Second.
Vote, please.
Sure. Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard. Excuse me. Bayrock.
Yes. Yeah.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say that we do have a Spanish-speaking supervisor, and someone's asking for a Spanish-speaking officiate at their wedding, and that she's able to do it. So, it's a great service. Thank you. And
Yes, and we have the first one, this Friday, so if anybody wants to attend, thank you, Jody.
We'll be bright.
Okay, thank you, Diane.
Wait a
This
minute, wait a
concludes
minute.
our resolutions of today.
No,
At
we're
this
not
point,
finished.
Hang on, hang on, hang on.
We're not finished.
Hold on,
I have to call you. Aguirre.
you have to abstain.
I'm sorry?
I'm
Oh, I'm
call-
sorry. I thought I said yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Resolution adopted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diane, again. So we concluded the, resolutions for today, and we're gonna open it up for public comments on, general comments on any other matter. Devin, do we have anyone in the waiting room?
We do. We have several people in the waiting room. First up is Mike Foley. So we're gonna bring him forward. He'll be visible in just a moment.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Name and hamlet, please, and
Foley,
keep the
Reeves Park.
comments to 5 minutes. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. I have 3 or 4 questions that came as a result of a Civic Association roundtable that was chaired by Yvette a week or 2 ago, and I thank you for taking the time on that event. I'm sure you found it just as productive as we did. But issues arose about beach parking and beach driving that you felt needed to be brought before the entire board. So I'm going to just read off 3 or 4 things that I believe we agreed to so that you can discuss them. One thing is that we're trying to utilize the lessons that we learned from the very difficult spring and summer of COVID. And we'd like to see any changes considered and approved to be done by May the 1st, because as you all know, the problems with out-of-town fishermen really dirtying up all of our town beaches, and not just ours, there were worse situations in other towns, were really started way before Memorial Day. So I really like the town to consider, if they're going to implement any of these changes, to get them done by May the 1st, so we can get the word out there. And the first thing, of course, is hoping that the town and Chief Hager Miller can continue their zero tolerance policy on finding violators on beach parking lots or on beach driving. So, in order, and for your discussion, eliminating day passes for Reeves Park, it is by far Reeves Beach, it is by far the smallest parking lot. It was something that's been discussed over the last couple of years, and actually was agreed to verbally last summer, and that was a help. But by that time, the seasonal out-of-town passes had already been granted for a week before they were stopped. And I'd like the board to consider ceasing all day passes and all seasonal passes for out-of-towners for the next calendar year, assuming that we're going to still have problems with this pandemic. We could take longer-term action maybe in 2022, but for 2021, to give our town residents a chance at not only attending the beach, but attending them socially distanced and being as careful as possible. I mean, this town has really done a great job. I'm one of the people that is a recipient of your putting together the SAFE program, where we get Gala Fresh delivering us weekly things, only a dozen things or so, but in between large orders that are delivered, it is very, very important to get that, and I'm sure there are many people that appreciate it, and it's still continuing, and in light of the budget things, I'm sure that's problematic too, so I thank you for that. But to try and eliminate day passes and seasonal out-of-town passes for the entire summer for all of the Riverhead beaches. Number 2, to consider doubling the beach parking fines from $100 to $200, and the beach driving fines from $500 to $750. We had 2 fires this summer on the beaches. One of them needed a DEP, thank you, cleanup, and it was not a town resident. So I think it's important to eliminate these problems before they start. We have the ability to do that now that we can learn from the things that we learned the hard way over this summer. And to finally, to the extent necessary for board approval, to establish a policy of creating a database field of outstanding beach tickets by parking lot, and to share those multiple violations by license plate with designated Civic Association board members whose jurisdiction is in those town beaches. We would establish a volunteer, whether it's a board member or a regular member that is down at the beach all the time, to look at the outstanding violations, take a look if we have any license plates that match those violators, those multiple violators still in our beach parking lots, so that we can call the desk officer and have prompt attention to either boot that car or tow that car until we get the fines back. And to the extent that the state statute allows, if they're not answers, auction the car off. I think when we start taking steps like that, they'll know that we are a beach and a town that they should bypass because we take these things seriously. That's the extent of it. I look forward to your answers. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, when recently we had a civic association meeting and Catherine Kent was there. Yes, and these issues were raised. Can you put them in writing to the town clerk's office? Concerning your last request, we have to make sure that we're legally binding. I can't just be sharing plates on people who, summonses written on. We have to make sure that that's okay. But yes, put them forward to us and, we'll look at them. Catherine Kent is our code revision person, and that's down her line. And Catherine, would you mind looking into his request?
Sure, and Bob is on code with me, so yes.
Great, perfect, thank you. Devin, I know people have been waiting in the waiting room for over 3 hours. Can we move them forward, please?
Sure, okay,
Thank
so next in the waiting room to comment on open topic is Ellen Hoyle. You can bring her
That's
forward.
Ellen.
Hi, Ellen, can you hear us?
You gotta
You're
unmute
muted.
your mic. There you go. Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. Ellen Hoyle, Riverhead, New York. I unfortunately had technical issues and wasn't able to join earlier, so I missed the CDA meeting. But I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention as whether or not they knew that the Edmonton Mall, like the Mall of America, is also leveraged at 49%. So again, I would say it's in the town's best interest to request more financial information from 555. The other thing is, I have checked each town in Suffolk County's website. They're all holding evening meetings, whether virtually or in person. I still don't understand why we're not being allowed to hold meetings outside of business hours. It's my understanding that we're now limited to 5-minute mark, at which point we'll be placed back into the waiting room. If that's going to be the practice going forward, then I would suggest that we have a clock available for people to keep track of how much time they have remaining. So that way they can get all their comments in within the 5-minute limit and not drag it out. And I think that was it. Yeah, I think that's all I had for today.
Okay, great. We'll consider the clock. We'll consider the clock. Anybody have any response to Ms. Hoyle's other two questions?
Well, Ellen's not the first one that brought up that it's challenging to do 2 o'clock when people work. I don't know if you want to respond to that, but I would ask the board to consider adding back in some 6 o'clock meetings, just to accommodate people that want to come to the meetings virtually even when they are working during the day.
Okay, so that's remember we're still on an executive order, state of emergency, and to keep town hall and some individuals, we have to keep them there for 12 hours. That's a choice. A lot of the people that these evenings are held, they're held remotely. The town board has elected to come in. At the moment, as you can see, we have the ability to do to complete our meetings remotely. The 6 o'clock meetings are all done remotely. That was not mentioned, and people are doing them in their in their homes when their kids are back and they can watch their kids. So it's a little bit complicated, and so that's something that we decided, since the board decides to come in, Brookhaven does their meetings all virtually. And as a result, they have a little bit more give. It's very difficult to tell our IT person to be in at 6:30 and hold a meeting until he's, till 9:30, and then he goes home and pay the overtime.
Now.
So that's something that we can discuss together as a board. And so moving forward, Devin, do you have any other any other participants in the room?
We do. We also have Ed Graham in the meeting room. He's looking to make a comment on open
Mr. Graham.
topic.
You have to unmute, okay, I see that you're muted.
I'm unmuted. Is that better?
Yes, we
That
can hear
is
you.
finally. I know you want to make a comment, and, again, it's 5 minutes. We've, people are waiting, they've been waiting over 3 hours to get on.
And that includes me. I've been in there for 3 hours, so.
I
waiting
know,
to-
okay.
Okay. Tell
I
them.
just wanted to chime in because I see that, I really wanted to speak to those guys because, to be honest with you, they never answered your question when you said, about the cadmium. They said there's no cadmium in the panels, which makes that only 10% of the panels that are possible, because 90% of the solar panels that exist are made out of cadmium or made with cadmium. So the other 10% are like called SIGs. They're copper, indium, they're copper, gallium selenide, okay? It's another toxic chemical. There's also lead in any other ones that contain lead. Every one contains lead. There's no escaping that. So there's other chemicals besides the cadmium. So if they choose to use a lower yield solar panel, they're using the copper, indium, gallium selenide, the SIGs, which actually made Solyndra, the company Solyndra, now bankrupt because it's not an efficient panel. So it's good to know, like, you know, what chemicals they're actually using, because the sun comes to the panel, there's a chemical reaction that converts it to electricity. So those chemicals are what we have to know about, because if the solar panels are damaged, they leach into our ground and into our groundwater, no matter whether it's cadmium, lead, copper, gallium. There's also another chemical in there too. And these are bad chemicals for our water. So you want to protect the water, you should know what chemicals you're putting. You're putting thousands and thousands, millions of panels over 1,000 acres. That's a lot of stuff going above our drinking water. So it's not like a little bit, it's a lot. And those hurricanes, Category 3, what was Hurricane Gloria? What was, you know, we've had other hurricanes that were above 3. Right now in California, all those solar, 80% solar, they're all burning. They're all called wildfires. All that smoke is just putting chemicals into the air. Those people are going to wind up worse than 9/11. Firefighters are going to be breathing that stuff in. The community is going to be breathing in. There's a lot of bad chemicals in solar panels, and people have to know this stuff. In regards to his saying that they're recyclable, they're not. China used to put in a little bit of silver, which made them, the companies, able to recycle them and get some money back. But China took the silver out of it. There's very little silver, if any, in solar panels now. So they're not even worth recycling. So they're sitting on properties like in California, they still haven't figured out how to get rid of them. After 20 years, these panels are stockpiled. Maybe it's part of the wildfires. Maybe they're burning them. Who knows? But they're not going anywhere. They can't send them to third world countries because third world countries won't accept 80% efficient panels. They lose 1% efficiency every year. So after 20 years, they're only 80% efficient. Third world countries will no longer take those panels in because it's actually destroying their groundwater, their drinking water. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. And as far as like accepting an application, you're not legally tied to approving that application. So any moratorium that you were thinking about putting on something like that, it's still in effect because you haven't approved it yet. All you did was accept their application. It's a big difference. And I think this has been lost in translation somewhere where you're getting nudged to the point where you keep allowing them to do what they do in there, and you're getting to the point where it gets to the point where they're going to get approved.
30 seconds,
So
Mr. Graham,
if you
30
stop-
seconds.
The concept is to take a look at this, look at what California's doing, and then take a bigger step into looking what this is all about, because this is going to destroy the economy on Long Island. the rates in California around solar farms are like triple to quadruple times what we pay here. It's gonna be going off the charts. There's no benefit
Okay,
to
Mr. Graham,
Calverton or Riverhead.
that's your 5 minutes there, sir.
They're taking taxpayer money from the federal government, and they're giving it to you as a town, so the taxpayer,
Okay,
he's
his
not-
time's up. We need to move forward.
they come in the effect of subsidies and tax abate.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Graham. We heard your comments. Anyone else, Devin?
We do. We have one more person, and it's Taki with the Calverton Civic Group.
Hi, Tochi.
I'm Taki.
Hi, you're back? Okay. Maybe lift, yep, there you go. Up a little more.
A little bit. There I am.
Okay.
So, hello, Chuck Peterson, Greater Calverton Civic Association. And, yeah, it looks like I'm in here for the duration today. I don't think I took all my 5 minutes before, and I'm just gonna be under 5 minutes now. There were a few questions on Sharon Dunnigan's letter that I didn't hear mentioned, at any point today, and I feel that maybe it could be responded to in writing during this 10-day period, following today. They are the questions that are on page 2 of her letter, and I'll just say them quickly. I know that you have them in writing, so you have them enumerated. She was asking, per the narrative that they've put up on the website for them, they're proposing to purchase the property. Has Nextera purchased and closed on these parcels? That might be a quick answer right now. What are the expected tax implications, including real estate taxes, pilot, CPF, and the one-time agricultural fee, including the expected revenue on the right-of-way for the easement under Edwards Avenue? I believe everything else, the rest of these questions were already answered. That takes care of it for Sharon's letter. And I would like to know, maybe someone could tell me when the answers in writing come back from Nextera, are they sent to the individuals who asked them? For instance, if Sharon asked, does it get sent email to her, the answers to her questions? Or are they made available on the website? If anybody can direct me, that would be great.
I think Diane can answer that question. I believe it goes on the website. Diane, can you confirm that?
Not necessarily, if they come to me as correspondence.
Jeff, Greg, do you add that to the record?
If they come to me as correspondence, then I put them on the agenda, but Greg or Jeff might be able to answer better if their responses go to the planning department, which I believe they do.
Yeah, they sound like they're all planning, and it is a planning project.
But I think that's a good policy. If there are questions that arise from a public hearing and the comments come back to the planning department that they should go to the town clerk, I think that's a good policy decision, Yvette, that you might want to consider as the supervisor in the future in directing planning staff to do that.
I think it goes on there, doesn't it?
Perfect, great,
yeah.
thank you.
Greg?
All right, anybody else,
Greg?
Devin, on the waiting room?
No, what's happened in the past?
I mean, we've never really directly responded or posted responses to questions. I mean, we get a lot of questions. There's a lot of information that's brought forth at a public hearing. There's a lot of statements that are made. Some are relevant to an application, some are not, but we have not been in a process. I mean, you've been on the board for a number of years. We've sat through a number of special permits, site plan hearings. It's never been a customary process for us to prepare a written response to every resident or anyone who speaks at a presentation. We've never formally done that process. I mean, if the board would like, we can post responses to it, but, you know, there was a lot of information that was presented at this meeting today, and I'm not sure that all of it is necessarily 100% would need to go on a website or require a formal response.
I think the onus should be on us as a board member to follow up with you for the question, because if you're gonna start answering every question and take time out to get it back to us, you've got more than enough to do over there already. I think the onus is on us as a board member to follow through.
But if the applicant, you know, I mean, I have seen where applicants email back and the question is listed and then the answer. If the applicant does that, it doesn't seem like that difficult to add that to, you know, onto the website so that.
We could absolutely put that on the website.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
And they also can file, you know, a FOIL request or have access to look at the file where the clerk would go to the town clerk's office and then they could come and inspect the file if they chose to see what correspondence had come back and if all of their answers were replied to satisfactory also.
Correct.
Thank you,
Right,
Greg.
okay. So moving forward, thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting.
Are you still going? Talk with you
Yes,
still?
because this is just a comment. You made your comments, and it's
Oh,
not a
sorry.
back and forth. Yes,
I did-
and Devin, this was
Yep,
supposed to,
Right,
we
so,
need to keep synchronized and give everybody this is a comment section, it's not a back and forth, it's not a debate, okay? It's, yes, and I know it's
She's not
surprised,
done yet.
but this is how we are running the meeting, and, don't Devin, okay, I'm gonna ask to close this meeting. Toki, did you have a question? Because we're not going back and forth on debates anymore on questions, okay? We're running the meetings according to, the open meetings law. Everyone has a right to comment. The board has a choice to respond if they want, unless it's a critical, component that you have to go back and forth.
She might have another statement
I
on
don't know
another
that she
matter.
was done yet, Madam
Wasn't
Supervisor.
finished, but I think she might have left, right? Oh, she's there. I think she wasn't done with her
I don't think she
question.
was done with her 5 minutes yet. That was one question, and we kinda jumped on it as an answer.
Okay, I couldn't see that. Is she back?
yeah, we'll bring her
Still
back
there.
up, Supervisor.
I think she might be back. I'm seeing her.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, I really thought you were gone and going back and forth with all kinds of responses, and, so anyway, you're back, and that's good. Can you, and Devin, can you keep the time, frame?
Yes, you have
Thank
another,
you.
yeah, you have another 2.5 minutes there, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay,
I
good.
was actually cut off because someone started answering before I was done asking my questions.
Yes,
I don't
okay,
wanna
we
do
got
back
it.
and-
We cleared it,
It's
yeah.
just a quickie.
We
Um,
cleared it, it's
so-
fine.
Oh, that's great. So, I wanted to make a point of asking, I had heard, I'm not sure actually who mentioned it, someone on the board mentioning about having physical meetings for the board at the Riverhead, school building, so that we could meet in person. And, I could be right or wrong, but regardless, I would like to support that idea. I find it very difficult to participate at the level that I feel that the public can actually have an interaction with you. And I appreciate the efforts that have gone forward with Zoom. And I also, a tag question is, have all the meetings now reverted to 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Because according to what I looked at the schedule for the year, there were some 6 o'clocks in this section of the year that I don't see anymore. They're all at 2 o'clock. I did see that they are all at 2 o'clock, and I would just make a request that there are people who would really like to participate and they can't. And I take off special time just so that I can. And I think that submitting my questions in writing is a good idea, but it doesn't substitute for my participation. So I would like to put that out to the board and ask for very strong deliberation on that. And I'd like to hear it either in a town board meeting or on your work session, whichever you feels appropriate. I'd like to meet in person and participate, and I'd like others to also. And the last piece is, here's a question. Was the 30-year power purchase agreement with Nextera and LIPA already in place with them before they came to the town and our constituents being able to weigh in? I'm understanding this process as a learning experience, and I know that I don't know the whole process, but it just seems to me things are kind of out of order. It feels like a fait accompli, and all we're doing is sort of deciding small things. Albeit the environment is not a small thing, but the community of 11933 was not addressed by Nextera. About this time last year, the same request was made that they, through a town board meeting. So my question was the 30-year power purchase agreement already in place before they came to the town and the constituents and gave us a chance to weigh in? All for me.
All right, thank you. So so moving forward, first of
let
all,
them know.
we, as a town, we're insured, we have our own room, we have our own, IT department. We spent a lot of money recently updating our IT, and town board meetings will not be moved to the school. Plus, there seems to be, there could possibly be a conflict there, so, I don't know who recommended that. I wish that you would share that to me, but that's not a responsible person, whoever made that recommendation. We can do that under an emergency. And we also have to note that we're under emergency order. I'm not having somebody here from 8 o'clock in the morning to possibly 10 o'clock, having to pay them overtime. Brookhaven, and I know that, it's been brought up, earlier today, Brookhaven is having all their meetings virtually, where parents could be at home, feed their kids, their spouses can help. But to be stuck at town hall till 9 o'clock when your kid is not in school, or he needs to go online and you need to assist him. So you have to look at the bigger picture. There were towns, adjacent towns, near us that didn't hold board meetings at all for six months, okay? And we came on, there was a time that there was a lot of, it was using up a lot of our time, and we did take a break for a few weeks. We came right back, and we're stronger than ever. And you have to take in consideration the board members. And I understand, Toki, you're concerned. I also want people to be back on town hall. And as long as we're in executive order, and I make the decision with the EOC, the Emergency Operations Coordinator, who's been designated by FEMA, the federal government, and we all speak, and we make decisions according to the best interests of our town specifically. And it's good to compare other towns, but what other towns do doesn't necessarily may work for us. And we are Riverhead, and we're going to continue until 2 o'clock. You also have the option of watching these meetings at any time, during the weekends, in the middle of the night, and to see what's happening. So it's not like if you don't participate or show up or see the meeting at 2, that it's not available to you. All right? Okay, and anyone have any other comments on Toki?
No, but I have one comment before you close the meeting. All this talk about solar today made me think of sunshine. And one of the sunshines in my life is my granddaughter Violet, and today is her 4th birthday, so I'd like to have a shout out to Violet for a happy birthday. Thank you.
Well, happy birthday,
Birthday, Violet.
Okay, great.
What a good
Thank you,
grandpa.
everyone. This concludes our town board meeting. Can I have a first and second to close the town board meeting?
Grampy.
So moved.
Seconded.
All opposed? All in favor? So moved. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good evening and be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like to hug people, but since